We were supposed to get a pretty nasty storm. It got darker then, but nothing really happened.
Oh, wow.
I just saw something here that says record live on YouTube. It just came up on my screen.
Oh,
Neil.
well, maybe we're actually live now. So, yeah.
It
Okay.
says here,
All right.
streaming
It says live on
YouTube,
ours too.
Yeah, it says
All
it
right,
here,
yeah,
too.
it's working on the
Yeah.
YouTube, but it's not working to Facebook. Which,
Heck with
that's what
Facebook,
happened
yeah.
last time. So, yeah. So screw Facebook. Anyway,
Yeah.
welcome to the station of decapitation. This is Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
And we have a great panel here of makeup artists. We have Eryn and Michael Mekash.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Michael Key, one of many Michaels. Or second of many Michaels, I guess. Michael Laudati.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Ray Santoleri.
Good evening.
And the return of Craig Lindberg.
Always a pleasure.
Yes. Yes, and, terrible.
And Louie?
Here. Oh, and Louie Zakarian.
There's one hidden person.
Yeah, it threw me off because he's not Michael. He'll be Michael Zakarian for the evening. Sorry for the rocky start. I was having technical difficulties, but we're here live, so that's all that matters. Everything else will be smooth here. Probably
Awesome.
not, but it's good we're here. So we're gonna do 13, our favorite 13. I have horror, but whatever, makeup in movies. If you don't have horror, it's fine. We won't kick you off the show or anything. We'll talk about makeup, and it'll be a good time.
This was the toughest list yet, I think.
It is a very
Because-
tough list.
I think I have it like 100 things, give or take. Like I could do 13 with just like Cheney Sr. or something, you know, like it was tough whittling
Spoiling
it
the
down.
list.
Oh, sorry. No, he didn't make it at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, also too, there's what is a horror film? There's so many things that could be like, is King Kong really a horror film, or is it a character piece, or Silence of the Lambs, which is some people might consider it a horror movie and some won't. So there's that too. It's like what is your definition of what a horror movie is?
Right. And what's maybe it's a definition you guys are better for. What's makeup and what would be like just special? Is there a difference between makeup and special effects? I guess.
Physical effects would be so totally different, but like makeup and like blood splat, that's all makeup. That's kind of what we all do. We've all pretty much done.
Sometimes that is special effects, especially if it's a body through wardrobe. Then special effects tends to do that.
Yeah.
It's a tricky, I know on the East Coast, it's a tricky thing. Like sometimes that goes to the props and special effects department. Sometimes it goes to the makeup effects department. It's kind of dicey. It's kind of like a gray area here in New York.
Yeah.
I got to think whoever just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, sometimes it does come to that. Someone of the props
Historically,
they'll say, you guys do it.
faster.
like Jack Pierce is one of the makeup artists. I'm sure that's going to be talked about a lot here when it comes to horror films. When he did the Frankenstein monster back in 1931, that's considered a makeup, and was for a very, very long time until we get into the 60s. And Dick Smith started using a different credit, going special makeup. And I was told by Tom Berman, and he claims that he's the one who created the term special makeup effects. He said he started using that term because there were people that were in special effects. It was getting confused. People were thinking they were doing the work that he had created. So he was doing it to try to distinguish between that. The first time he used it, I think he told me it was on cat people. So that's not until what?
82.
Yeah.
It's 80s. So we have a whole, like 80 years of history practically of motion pictures where it was all of these things were called makeup. And today you hear a lot of it bantered around called special makeup effects would be Tom's term. People have lazy tongues, and so they'll call it special effects. But you go onto a set and ask for special effects, you get some guy that blows things up and creates wind.
Right.
Well, but catering, a lot of people will create wind.
One of my picks when I was a kid was one of my picks is The Wild Bunch, and that was one of the first movies that showed the actual bullet hits and the squibs.
Yeah.
Considered a very violent film for its time, and at that time, who did that, special effects or makeup, you know? So.
Yeah.
I'm gonna coin the term makeup properties. No? Let's see.
I know when I started playing with squibs because I thought it was all the same thing
Mhm.
years ago, and I was able to buy some squibs, and I learned quick not to play with squibs.
Oh, yeah.
Give
I'll
us
bet.
I burnt a few people, I'm sure. Remember we used to take the gunpowder and put it in a straw, close the straw, put the two igniter wires it, put it onto a battery, and then it would ignite it.
You did that.
Yeah.
We blew stuff up, but I didn't blow up anything like that. That crazy.
Well, we'll start with number 13 here, and who wants to start?
You start us off, Neil.
All right. Well, my number 13 is the head explosion in Scanners. It's
Ooh,
pretty amazing.
good choice.
Maybe it
Good
could
one.
be higher on my list, but yeah, it's an amazing scene. I think that's if I think of head explosions, that has to be number one. Very
That's one
fitting
of the
for
ones
Without
that
Your Head.
in the advent of VCRs, you would slow-mo and try and
Right.
see that thing blow up.
Yeah. Now with animated GIFs and stills all over the internet, parts of it will look not the greatest, but it's still a fond memory for me. The head explosion
Yeah,
in Scanners.
it's insane.
That was
Cool.
great.
Okay.
All right.
That's a really good one.
Yep, good choice.
We'll go with Michael Laudati.
Okay, so these are, for me, inspirational makeups. Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera was one. Am I going down an entire list or just giving one?
We'll
Just
start.
one
We'll
at
all
a
do
time.
number 13, and then we'll go
Yeah.
to 12 and stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to call that 13, but it actually is one of the top ones for me, is the Phantom of the Opera, where he really, truly created a character. And to me, the definition of makeup is this, it creates the character, it creates a character's face, and makeup effects are something that's a part of that operate in some mechanical way, like blood spurting or vomiting or something like that. But for makeup, I think Lon Chaney was a true makeup artist, and he created his characters, and he was able to. I mean, his characters lived through his acting as well. I think that's a marriage of both makeup and acting. It's like a perfect marriage for me.
And the reveal when half the mask comes off is amazing. And that still holds up.
Completely
almost
shocking.
100 years later. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, beautifully done.
That was one of my favorite experiences of the theater. I got to see it at Halloween a couple of years ago with a live orchestra. And
Oh, that's
that was
cool.
such a wild experience.
I seen it once with an orchestra too. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's how they were viewed in the day.
Mhm.
They generally had live orchestras, whether they large orchestras or small ones. But it was only small towns that had the piano, basically. But generally there was a full orchestra. And sometimes the music was written for the films.
There was music written for the Phantom, right? I mean, the original Phantom, there was music written for that. That's
It
what I
may
heard.
not survive. A lot of the music didn't survive. For Charlie Chaplin's films, he wrote the music himself, and some of those do survive. But often there were scores written for specific films and then performed by orchestras. We watch them.
So cool.
Eryn, what's your number 13?
I think we just wrote down a bunch of them that we like because they're all kind
that's
of
fine.
they're all kind of even, But
Right.
I was going to say one thing about the live performance is that if you ever get an opportunity to go to El Capitan and see the any of the performances, there's a live organ performer that plays with all the before the shows, and it's really incredible.
Yeah.
It's a super, super special thing to see. That's modern day stuff. But we went and saw Nightmare Before Christmas
Yeah, it was amazing.
last year. It was so amazing. Anyway, so we thought Mama from the movie Mama was really innovative and cool.
Yeah,
Just
that was
because
so
it
good.
was-
Everyone thought it was CG, but it was the actual actor, which I forget his name.
It's
but
like
he's
the actor and
very
it's
physical.
Javier, isn't his name Javier?
Yeah.
He was wearing an incredible makeup and there was CGI incorporated with it, but most of it was him
But
performing.
Yeah, they thought about everything. The fact that they had that belt with the strings, to pull them in different directions. I mean, that's really putting some thought into it and doing something original. So that's our 13.
That was number 13 that we liked.
That's a great choice, actually. Ray.
My 13 was the Cyclops.
Oh, nice.
I saw this when I was 6, and it scared the hell out of me. And because that same afternoon, that I saw this on TV at night, but I saw the Tarantula and Creature Walks Among Us at a matinee that afternoon, and I had nightmares.
Oh my
Especially by
gosh, I would think so.
Seeing this guy looking through the window, I was terrified he would look through with that one eye. But that's my 13. But that was one of my first experiences with a horror film, and as a kid, and being actually scared. Because nothing really scared me after that for some reason, but this movie did.
But you saw 3 movies in one day, though.
Yeah, I saw 3 in one day. And then we went to Europe. I didn't see any. I couldn't see them anymore until we came back in '68. And then I was able to see some stuff on TV and get the famous Monsters magazines and all that.
Why? I was just thinking, because they wouldn't let you watch. When I went to Europe as a boy, they wouldn't let me watch a Tarzan movie because there was violence. But I could see this movie that had all kinds of sex stuff in it, like R-rated things that we would like.
It's a lot different from here, where they're more worried about the sex than the violence in the States.
Yeah. We had movies over there. I lived on military bases, but they were just regular movies. There weren't horror. Very rarely did we get to see a horror film.
Really?
There was some science fiction movies. I saw the Time Tunnel and things like that, but mostly just war movies and regular dramas.
Would that have been the movie that originally inspired you to pursue a career in makeup?
No, one of my later picks did. I'll get into that.
Okay, very good. Louie.
I'd say number 13 was like Friday the 13th. Jason. The first time you saw Jason come out of the water.
Oh, the water one. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first one. That was a long time ago, and I was kind of young. And, you didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's one of the great surprises in movies too.
Yeah, terrifying.
He's creepy look. I think he's creepier there than he is with the hockey mask.
Yeah. The hockey mask kind of dulls it out. Like you didn't know what to expect when he came out of the water there. So
good pick. Let's see, Craig.
My number 13 is It, the Terror from Beyond Space.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Pennywise.
One of my favorites. And it's funny about that. There's that iconic picture of it in sort of where the light is just hitting it, and where the mask is, where the mouth is. Everyone thinks that's the creature's tongue, but that's actually, who is it? Ray
Corrigan.
Corrigan did it.
Ray Crash Corrigan.
Right. That's his chin.
Really?
That's the chin of the actor, because he did not want to come in for like a face cast or something like that. So they put the mask over his head and it was too small. So when they put it on, the chin and the mask was right there. And they're like, oh, and they painted it. It was black and white. So that's his chin.
By the way, here in the chat room, Jeff Y, he wants to know, because he's an independent filmmaker. He does Antimony tapes on YouTube, which is a really good series. What is the worst substance to work with, if anyone has an answer to that?
What does that mean?
I think when you're making makeups or effects.
Ultra Slime's always just a mess.
Ultra Slime.
Yeah,
Ultra
I
Slime.
agree with that.
It just you're forever trying to get it off, and
Yeah, you chase it all the time. It's so gross.
I
like,
never did it,
Cut it.
but Savini apparently used real guts, real intestines for I think that would probably be about the worst.
Yeah,
I think that's illegal.
I don't think you can get away with that nowadays.
Someone alert the authorities. Troy, what's your number 13?
My number 13, I got Count Orlok and Nosferatu. I love that look. It's just like it's one of those classic vampire looks. Nice.
There you go.
Good man.
There he
Neil.
goes.
It's over here too. The candle. Oh no,
I
that's Barlow actually.
I
from
got
Salem's
something
Lot.
even more terrifying on my show.
All right, very good. But yeah, Nosferatu may be a lot higher on my list, but
Understandable.
I think that's one of the best visions in horror movies.
Yeah.
Nosferatu. Very otherworldly looking. I think it's a lot of the classic stuff still holds up. Where I think some stuff from not that long ago can be dated.
Yep. I went more character driven on my list. Like I didn't think of individual.
I did most of mine
like,
too.
effects and things like that.
Mhm.
Michael Key.
I threw my list together actually pretty quickly because as a disclaimer for those who are watching out there, I found out about the list like about 5 minutes before we were going to start. So I already had a list of movies and I went, oh, okay, here's my 13. And I also want to say that my list has changed over the years. And I'm sure it's been that way for everyone else. There's ones when you were a kid, it's like, it meant one thing to you, and you got older and you saw it again, you went, that doesn't quite hold up as well. And number 13 is one of those for me, 1943, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Nice.
When I was a kid, that was wonderful because I grew up watching television where I could end up seeing these movies. And so I was watching anything that, Universal Monster, I would be all over it. And it was great because you got Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman in the same movie, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
It was my mind's eye was really great, but it wasn't until later that I started learning the actors' names, okay, who's Boris Karloff and who's, Lon Chaney Jr. And as an adult, when I started getting into makeup, I decided to go back and revisit these movies. I went and I was like, oh, Karloff isn't playing the monster in this movie. It's a kind of a snubby Bela Lugosi, but
Yeah.
they had them both in the movie. And as a tag on to that too, which is great because it was the backlot of Universal in the early 40s, which is so many great films I love from that time. Casablanca, the Sherlock Holmes movies, all that. You see the same kind of arches and things that they reused.
Yeah.
Yeah. A similar thing though, because when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite movies. Because the whole idea of two of my favorite monsters in a movie together. Later on, like I still enjoy it, but it's definitely not up there with like the other Universal, classics. But it's still fun. It's still fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think we even had it in the old 8mm, Troy. Troy and I are brothers. I think our grandfather had an 8mm projector and
Castle Films.
Castle Films.
Yeah, we had them.
He used to play that over and over.
Over and over.
Over and over. Frankenstein and the Wolfman.
So many of those you'd end up like, you'd have to kind of do in a piece of it and kind of splice it together and stuff. You watched them so many times.
Right, they wear out.
Yeah.
Let's see. My number 12 is Uncle Frank and Hellraiser.
Nice.
I like all the different transformations of him, but especially when he's skinless. I think that's a pretty amazing look. Because I always think that's I don't know, because I've never done this, but I would think that's hard to pull off to make something smaller, as opposed to making something with bigger. Because he has to be without the skin, so you'd have to make the person actually look physically, thinner. And it just looks very creepy.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
Even the stop motion in that I like. I know some people have a problem with when he's transformed to begin with, but I like it.
I love stop motion.
All the makeups
I do
from that
too.
are great.
Yeah. I just picked him specifically, but yeah, all the Cenobites are great in them.
Yeah, they're super cool.
Michael Laudati.
Okay, another old one is Charles Laughton's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I just thought was miraculously good. I like Lon Chaney's as well, but I love the childlike character that Charles Laughton created. And I thought the makeup was the perfect complement to that character. So very memorable. And that's definitely one on my list. It's an inspiration for me.
That's one besides the Disney one, it's not one we've seen a lot of modern versions of. I guess because it's hard to do a modern version of the Hunchback unless you do it a period piece. I don't know how you present them in modern day.
Yeah, you couldn't really have the character now, right?
Yeah, it seems like you may not. Yeah, it's a trickier thing. But I think the story is still relevant even to our times as an outsider who's making their way into society in an awkward way. So that's hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see someone taken on, but you know, the old one definitely holds up. Eryn and then Michael.
I think we decided that it was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Was basically, there's hard to choose from any of those in that film, but all of them are all the makeups in that are incredible. They're just so vast. Like, they just, not only is the flashback stuff, which is just beautiful makeup, but the wolf man, the werewolf, and the bat makeup, it's just so, it's like full body makeups, and I mean, head to toe. They're beautiful. Like, all the makeups in it are great. So that was our pick. They're just so beautiful. And actually, I watched it recently on our television, and even more of the paint work comes out on the television than it did even seeing it in the theater, like, because of the way that it was shot, or the way that the television is just so much more, it's so much more defined now. And you could just see all these beautiful veins that Greg Cannon put in to the old Dracula makeup. And it's stunning. It's just so stunning. And it's all foam. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
Really pretty makeups.
Before we get to Ray, AJ here in the chat room, he wants to know, when did you first discover you had a talent for special effects? You know, anyone can answer that who has an answer.
Well, I remember as a kid, I would, go to the store and buy that vampire blood for 39 cents in the corner store.
Yeah.
Put it all over our faces and walk around the neighborhood, me and my cousin crying, saying that we were in a car accident. And people be like, oh, and we were like, oh, this is kind of fun. But honestly, I think I got into it kind of later than a lot of the, I was in my 20s by the time I started thinking about being a makeup artist. So I wasn't like 13, or, as they say, I mean, you see so many kids that are 13 playing with it. And I was much later into it. But
I didn't get into makeup until I was
in London, which.
Yes.
I didn't get into makeup until I was 30, Craig.
Oh, okay.
Let's take that, Craig.
I started with a Mr. Hugo doll. It was a
my gosh.
a little hand puppet that came with noses and cuts and scars, and you could put them on yourself or on the puppet, and that was.
Oh, it's great. It had the little glue that you put on with the. I
I
used to scare Neil with that.
Yeah,
when he was
that's come up on the
real
show a
tiny
lot
kid.
because the old the trailer for Magic that used to really scare me as a kid because we had the Hugo doll.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I finally picked one off of eBay recently, so I was happy.
Nice.
Wow.
Hugo.
We were inspired. We were inspired by Dick Smith's Monster Makeup Handbook.
Yes, that's what
that was my Bible.
So we were pretty young when we started with makeup and effects stuff and 3D animation. But yeah, that guided me toward a professional career, which I discovered.
Definitely very young, because there were so many horror films that were on a Saturday, so we always watched them when we were young.
Features.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
You got to pull that out, Craig. So that's crappy work from, oh my God, like 30 years ago.
That's not crappy. That's wonderful.
I know it's reversed. I'm sorry that it's reversed.
no, I think we see
89. Holy smokes.
Oh, that's so cool. It's your biggest fan, Lou. He's got.
I'm telling you, he's still got it there.
That's great.
Ray, what's your number 12?
My number 12, as I mentioned earlier, was Wild Bunch. The blood and the explosion. It just, you never saw anything like that at that time, and I didn't expect it. I figured I was just going to go to a Western, another cowboy movie, and then everybody's getting shot, and one guy gets his throat cut, and you actually see it, and the blood spurts out. So, I mean, it was at the time considered a very violent film, one of the most violent films at that time, because up until that point, there was a lot of violence in movies, but they were mild. I mean, they didn't really show all the blood or the aftermath.
Yeah, I think that opened the floodgates. That and Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde.
And then
I think Bonnie and Clyde was first. I think that was a couple years before.
Yeah.
I think Bonnie and Clyde was 67 and Wild Bunch was 69.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And then Godfather also.
and then Godfather.
But yeah, violence is a part of the story, really. A poetic part of the story in the case of The Godfather. You know,
I remember
those makeups were very inspirational for me as well.
They were.
Mhm.
But I mean, I remember my dad took me and my girlfriend to see Godfather, and I guess he didn't expect to see what he was going to see, and I literally did not go to the movies after that.
Wow.
Yeah, because he grew up in the 30s and 40s. You never saw stuff like that.
Yeah, they just reacted.
And of course, we were 16 years old, so I guess he was a little embarrassed with some of the stuff that was going on in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For yourself, Ray, when you see when you saw the violence at the time, did you think, oh wow, this is shocking, or was that like something you saw and like, wow, this is cool? I actually
I thought it was cool. It was shocking, it was, but I thought it was cool because a few years later I went and saw Walking Tall, and even though that wasn't as realistic maybe as Wild Bunch was, it was still, again, I mean, when somebody got hit in the head with a bat, you really saw him. There was a lot of blood. It wasn't just, he fell over or something, So it was very visceral. I mean, it was more realistic and more, there was actual consequence to the violence.
Mm-hmm.
One,
the chariot race scene in Ben-Hur is very violent, and it's very real. There are scenes in Ben-Hur that are extremely violent, and this is the 1950s.
Right.
The chariot race. I mean, one guy gets hit by a chariot, and to this day, it looks like he really did. And it was always rumored that somebody was killed, but I don't think that there was. I think it was just a very well-placed dummy and all of that. But compare that with the newer version of Ben-Hur, where it's not believable at all, as over the top as it is, because it looks like they were really doing it back in the 50s, and it looked very dangerous. So, the violence continues, I guess. And we're part of that evolution.
I saw The Godfather on TV. I think I saw Godfather on TV.
Oh yeah, it's always.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking back, I was just starting to think, my parents let me watch a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have been watching. I didn't watch a lot of stuff that they were like kind of drew the line in like the sex stuff, but they were fine with horror and gory stuff and violence. They were like just fine with it. It's kind of weird. Now I think about it.
My mom's the same way. So.
When I was a kid, I mean, we watched all these shows in the 60s, the Rifleman, Wanted Dead or Alive, Have Gun. I mean, they were all guns. I mean, there was a lot of people got shot all the time, but you never saw blood. You never really saw that.
Right.
It's kind of a tie into the question that we had before about how he got started. I think it wasn't mentioned, but I'm sure everybody in here, Famous Monsters of Filmland by Forey Ackerman. That was a huge inspiration, I think, for all of us there. And also for me, because I was living in a little town in Texas, and it actually made it all the way. Forey must have had some decent distribution because it made it to this little town. And it's, through that's been what has inspired a lot of us, and being able to see those makeups.
Mm-hmm.
But also find out who did the work too. Because
I was going to say, because it's it's way before the internet. Now,
right.
People can see this stuff, on social media and IMDb and stuff. But back then, you'd have to kind of seek it out in a magazine.
Right.
FM was great for that. They were big. I found FM in Germany in the PX in 1967. So I guess you're right. I guess Forey did have some wonderful distribution.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Makeup became center stage in that magazine, and it was focused on that and the characters. And you learn the names of the actors and the secondary actors as well.
I didn't really read Famous Monsters until I was older, because my brother is the one that had the Fangoria magazines. That's how I saw anything behind the scenes, because I think being a girl, I didn't see as much of that stuff. And my brother's the one that brought home the Fangoria magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So even living like 30 miles from Los Angeles, it still should have been, it might as well have been Mars anyways, because I didn't really have any access to any of that stuff. So I saw most of mine from Fangoria, but I read Famous Monsters later. When I got into the film business, I finally was able to buy all those.
Uh-huh.
My
Are there
thought-
many women in I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just wondering, are there many women in the makeup field?
Now, yeah.
Well, there's a
absolutely.
lot, a lot more now. When I first started, there was hardly, I mean, maybe a handful, like 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 women. But I mean, nowadays there's a lot.
There's a-
Especially there's a lot of women at department head now. But back when I started, there wasn't that many.
When I went to school in 95, we had maybe 2 girls in the class. The rest were guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Now, when I shoot out of the country, I think in every country I've shot in, the makeup departments were all women in every country, in Canada, in Russia, in France, in Ireland. Where else have I shot? But the makeup departments were always all women. And occasionally a guy would come on to do whatever. But it just seems like it's a profession that women have really taken an interest to and really taken command of.
I think part of it has to do with the internet, though, is that more women have access to horror and makeup and everything because of the internet. And I think that, like that started to make a changeover, like in the late 90s, maybe things started to change. And now, like if you teach at any of the schools, at Cinema Makeup School or MUD, like there might be a guy in there, maybe one guy.
Exactly. That's
It's really wild. It's so different than when it was.
Yeah, I see that now.
Class is like 1, 2 guys, and the rest are all women.
Yeah, they're all girls.
Yeah.
All the classes at MUD, they're all girls now.
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Especially teaching ball cap, and all these girls have all this hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are we on for number 12? Louie?
Louis.
Okay, my old TV show, Twilight Zone, Eye of the Beholder.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff from Twilight Zone I loved, and watching the Eye of the Beholder, or even the one where they have the masks and they take the masks off and disfigure. Those always got me. Those were always my favorite.
Yeah,
And then-
it's hard to beat Twilight Zone.
And then getting to trying to reproduce some of those makeups over the years have been pretty awesome. That getting the opportunity to redo those.
Yeah. Ray did the Eye of the Beholder for.
We did it. Me, Louie,
We
and
did it,
Oh, okay.
That
we
was-
were all there together.
That was
You
my
made it,
first,
right, Louie?
my first season of this, and I stayed all night to sculpt all of those
Oh yeah.
and run the foam and have those ready by Saturday night. And
Oh,
we did 4 of them.
Yep. Did Will and Molly or
Molly, Chris Kattan, and Jim Brewer, I think.
Jim Brewer? That's right.
Yeah,
And then Norm was Rod Serling.
yeah, exactly. and Pamela Anderson was the one that was in the
Yeah,
bed.
Pamela Anderson. That's right. She was nice too. She
She
was
was
very
cool,
gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big
Remember
fan of Norm Macdonald. What's he like?
Oh, yeah.
He's a blast.
He was.
He was had a phone on in his ear the whole time trying to put a makeup on him, or anytime we did anything to him. He was a character.
He was always Bob Dole, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah. Or Burt Reynolds.
Or Burt Reynolds, yeah.
So good as Burt Reynolds. Oh my God.
That was
So
one of my
good.
favorites. The
Remember the Star Wars things we did?
Oh, him as Burt Reynolds was just amazing.
My dad still talks about that. He brings it up all the time. He always sends me clips of Norm as Burt Reynolds.
Craig, number 12.
Number 12 is the makeups from Gargoyles. Remember that movie,
Oh,
the television movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Winston, yeah. I remember seeing that as a kid. And, my mom was a big horror movie fan, so she watched it, and I was just like, "Look at it! Wow!" It was Gargoyles. It's my number 12.
Even the wings and stuff were great.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Key, you're number 12.
I'm going to go with Pan's Labyrinth.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Great film, some great designs. Our friends at DDT in Spain created those makeups, and just wonderful. Doug Jones plays 2 different characters, and it's a Guillermo del Toro film. So what more can you want?
Yep. It checks all the boxes.
That was on our list too.
Troy, you're number 12.
Number 12 is the Gill Man from Creature from the Black Lagoon. Just,
That's one of mine too. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah. Yep.
just so amazing, just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah, for me, like the perfect like creature, I guess. Just
Yeah, I agree.
just the look is just so great.
Yeah. The underwater scenes are still like beautiful, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
when he's mirroring her movement in the water. And
Yeah, balletic.
My mom said she almost passed out when she saw that in the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
That it was so said she'd never seen anything like it before. Like she'd never seen anything that scary before. And like to be having someone swimming, just having a nice time in the water, and then there was a creature that was underneath her. She said she almost passed out.
There's an article, if you can find it, in a Popular Science magazine from back then with Bud Westmore and them talking about making the creatures from Black Lagoon. And they said something like 500 gallons of foam latex or some really large number that they did. They talk about. They may have embellished it, but that's a lot of foam latex.
yeah.
No kidding. Oh my God.
One of the highlights for me doing the show was we had Ben Chapman on the show who played the creature
Oh, that's so
and the land
cool.
scenes, and he mentioned like part of the contract was he couldn't gain like even or lose he had like any weight at all because it was sculpted exactly to his body, the suit,
Oh my
and like if
gosh.
he even gained a little bit of weight it wouldn't fit him anymore.
Yeah. Do you remember what because he sent us a copy of his original contract. It was so
Yeah,
cool.
the 1954 contract, and he was, I think
Yeah, I
he's paid
can't remember how much-
$300.
Is that what it was?
$300 to
300?
play the and no royalties or anything. So,
Yeah.
Oh
Got
my
only
God.
$300.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the most iconic.
And he was all
creatures.
happy about it. He said, at the time, it was like, yeah, ooh, beats working for a living.
Later on, he did go in the conventions, but that would have been, decades later, because they weren't around at the time. But it's pretty wild. Number 11 for me is The Incredible Melting Man.
Oh, nice. Good choice.
The movie itself is maybe not the best, but the makeup's awesome.
Cool.
I had the old mask when I was a kid with just the elastics that go around your ears, and it's really a movie you just watch to see him melt throughout the film.
Mhm.
Piece of
Yeah.
trivia on that. When I was working for Rick, actually at the same time Eryn and I were there for for Gremlins 2. And I asked Rick Baker, who will have done a number of the makeups we'll talk about. I said, which movie was it that got you into the union? And I was thinking one of these epic films, and it was Incredible Melting Man that got him into.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
not Star Wars, not Incredible Melting.
I love it. Yeah. And it's nothing really to do with the makeup, but I just love in the movie that they just call him Steve throughout the movie. Everyone yelling Steve. I just find that very comical.
That's so funny.
It's hard to watch the movie because I keep watching the Mystery Science Theater version.
Oh, I've actually not seen it.
Those little guys.
Yeah.
When I had the director on the show, which was very cool too, he said his original cut of the movie is like a comedy, but they made him like they cut the movie themselves to make it more horror. But he likes his original version a lot better.
Oh, maybe they'll make a director's cut.
That's what I told him.
Good.
But,
Yeah, totally.
Michael Laudati.
Yeah. An American Werewolf in London was a big influence on me. When I saw that transformation scene, I was like, that's it. This is what I'm doing.
Yes.
It was just amazing. And I really love it. To me, it was all stagecraft. I could just see the hand of the artist in every frame of that, controlling it and moving it. And that was truly inspirational. Plus, I liked the movie as a whole. It had humor, it moved well, and it was a lot of fun. But that transformation scene was probably a milestone in my life.
I think it's the best transformation scene in any movie.
Yeah.
And the fact
think
it's
it's
like all done right in light, you can see everything's happening.
I think because it's practical, it doesn't date itself.
Right.
The CGI sometimes will date a movie because CGI's gotten better over the years. So when you have something that's done practically, it happens in real time, right in front of you, and I think it will continue on.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all-time films.
Oh, yeah.
I can watch it over and over again. I just watched it the other day. And like sometimes I'll just put it on and listen to it because it's such a great soundtrack too.
Oh
But yeah.
Then
Okay,
every
good.
time it starts, when he starts to transform, I just stand there and watch it.
That's one
So
of those ones you
good.
can just sit there
It's
and
timeless.
it's just on it. Oh, it's I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's so good.
So
And it's
many
such a
cool-
funny movie too.
So many
Yeah.
cool effects movies came out at that time too. That
Oh,
year.
yeah.
You know, I mean, The Thing and
Right.
Wolfen, I think, and wasn't
I think Howling
Howling
was the
came
same
out that year
yeah.
too, right? Or was that
Yeah, it was I think there was 3 like wolf movies because there was
Uh-huh.
Howling and Wolfen and American Wolf in London. I think all the same
Yeah.
year.
I think that shower scene with Ginny Augerter, that made me stop and look too. Every time that
Well,
happened,
yeah.
stop what
Well,
I'm
yeah. I think everybody was like, whoa, about that
Mhm.
shower scene. And then when was Company of Wolves? That was another one that was really,
that was a
I
year
think that
later.
was a few years after.
yeah, that was really
That was
good
another
too.
one that was great when the face comes out of the.
Yeah, so good.
Oh,
Totally different take on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a good couple years there, 81, 82.
And I like the
Thinking
comedy
about
too
that
because the
too, right?
comedy's not over the top. Like
Right.
both the comedy and the horror work in the movie, so you can
Yeah.
it's kind of underscored like the comedy.
It's like a buddy film. It's a romance. It's a horror film. It's comedy.
Yeah.
It touches on all the good stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
Got
Good
Nazi-
acting. I mean, good acting.
Yeah,
There's
it's definitely-
Nazis and it's
right.
Got everything. It's got Frank
It's
Oz,
got everything. It has
Nazis. That's a clip I'm going to use
Muppets, everything.
to promote the show. It's got Nazis in it. Eryn and Michael.
I just thought of one because we've mentioned a few of the ones that we like also, but I just thought of another one since we were talking about all the makeups, and it's not necessarily, I mean, the actual vampire makeup is a makeup, but Salem's Lot has some absolutely incredible, not only the main vampire in it, but I just watched it again last year and I was so surprised. Yes, so good. It's terrifying. Number one, it's absolutely terrifying that it was on television because it was so
yeah.
scary. But if you actually look at the makeups that are done on the people that are the vampires, it's all just out of kit makeups, and they're really stunning. And the glowing eyeballs are really the contacts, I guess, that they used are super, super. It's a very successfully done makeup, and they're very scary. And the whole entire show is really holds up well.
Mhm.
I agree.
The little kid at the window still.
Oh my
scares
God!
me.
Even
That's
though
the
he's on
worst.
like a little
Yeah.
parallelogram, it still is. I just think it's so creepy. It's just in the window. Let me
When-
in. Ah!
When Famous Monsters of Filmland came up, like that was something that scared me in the magazine, was seeing the image of the little kid in the window,
Oh,
because I was just like,
it's
wow,
so
that's
creepy.
creepy.
It
That
gave me
and
the
Martin
creeps
always
even
sticks out
last
to me
year
from
watching
those,
it.
yeah.
Kids freak me out.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Especially undead children, yeah. Or you just meant
Yeah.
children in general.
yeah, in general.
Oh, they don't.
That little Asian kid from that horror. What was it? Never mind.
Which
That
one?
little Asian kid in the closet of The Grudge. Was it The Grudge?
Oh, The Grudge.
Whew. Scared the shit out of me. Anyway.
Ray, what's your number 11?
I would say Dawn of the Dead, the 78 version.
Mhm.
I like Flyboy.
I noticed that right behind you as soon as you came on. That's my favorite zombie movie.
Yeah, so I thought that the way it was acted too, not just the makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, when he came out of the elevator and all that, and it just was very, very creepy and disturbing. But yeah, I like that one. I mean, it was Tom Savini, and some of the way the zombies were killed off, and even though it was in the later 70s, a lot of violence and a lot of gore effects have already taken place in a lot of movies, but I still found that to be, when you think about Night of the Living Dead being in black and white, and it was terrifying for that day, but it wasn't as bloody. But Dawn of the Dead really topped it. And the makeups and stuff were cool.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, that's my favorite zombie movie. And I know a lot of people like the remake. I think I'd probably like it better if it wasn't called Dawn of the Dead, because I think the original one's so much better.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it took
Plus,
place
there's pie fights in
in
it, which is very
in
strange.
a shopping mall too, which everybody
Yeah.
can relate to.
Mhm.
instead of some haunted woods or something like that. But I mean,
Mhm.
just in a shopping mall, it was just, that was a great idea.
Yeah, and it seemed fun to hang out in the mall. You could go to the stores and look a good time.
It was great. Years later, I was working in Pittsburgh, and we had to go. We took the Monrovia, that's the Monrovia Mall, and just walking around in the mall, going, "Oh, and that's where the ice
Yeah.
skating rink." You know, it was cool to just walk through the mall.
Yeah, I think they just took out the escalator recently, and because I have a friend who does some tours of that, and I think he kept part of the escalator,
Oh,
which I
really?
thought was pretty wild. But I don't know where. I guess you couldn't keep the whole escalator. It would take up a lot of room.
Put it on the
Oh.
outside and take it up to the second floor of your house.
Just keep it outside, maybe. Yeah. Louie, what is your number 11?
You know, I'm gonna stick with some Dead. Like Day of the Dead was another one of my it's just funny and goofy and campy, and got a bub in there. You know, that bub
Yeah.
makeup was fun. It was one of those just
Choke on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's where all that story of the real intestines is from, right?
Yeah. And then
Oh, is it really? I didn't
you were
know that,
left out
actually.
overnight, and
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know, I like Dawn of the Dead better. I do think the effects of Day of the Dead is probably the best of the Romero zombie movies.
it was one
But
of
I
the
think Dawn of the Dead's a better movie. But I do like the effects of Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
And you get Nicotero getting his head blown off, cut off, and
Yeah, and Bub's amazing.
that was a fun one.
Craig, what's your number 11?
Arthur Grimsdyke. Do you remember
Oh,
him?
nice.
Roy Aston?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Is
talking
that Tales
about?
from the Crypt or
Tales from the
both of them?
Crypt.
Crypt.
Troy, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Wait, tell him his mic is off.
Oh, Troy, your mic is off.
It's Peter Cushing.
Which segment from Tales from the Crypt?
Which one?
Which segment was that in?
That's the one where the guy, it's Peter Cushing. He plays that really nice guy, and there's a guy that keeps messing with.
Yeah, his neighbors keep messing
Oh,
with him
excellent.
because they want him to move. They
Want to
think
buy his
that,
property, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's like when I saw it in the theaters, it was like, oh my God. Now you look at it now on TV and you kind of go, yeah, I can see the screen
Yeah,
covering his eyes.
I thought the
Back
same
then-
thing, Craig. Yep.
Yeah. You
Because I
know,
remember
back then
like,
it was,
back in the
amazing.
day, right? But
Yeah.
Cushing was so perfect anyway because he was so gone. Like he
Right.
looked like a zombie anyway. So
Right.
he
Yeah.
was just the perfect guy to do that to, I think. But you're right. I noticed the same thing with the eyes where he's got like the little screens over him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, man, I wish I wouldn't have seen that in high def.
Do you think
I don't
that's
like
just
that.
because they might brighten the movie up too much
It could be.
today?
I think it maybe the lighting, you know, because you
'Cause
know
I do
you think
think
about it because how deep they could make the eye sockets, and the light gets in there, it's going to reflect off the screens, and you're going to see it.
Because I do think on occasion, sometimes when they restore movies, they actually brighten them up too much, and some of the shadows were, used to hide things and were intentional and not
Right.
necessarily this.
Right.
I
Not
thought
every movie, but
Furious
there's
Six-
certain ones. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is much better if you watch like an old bad copy of the film as opposed to like a restored version.
Tales from the Crypt, I thought the scariest sequence actually was the blind thing where they trapped a guy and created that whole thing with the razor blades and the dog coming.
Yeah.
His dog.
Shut the
they had
lights off.
starved him for like a few days or whatever. Yeah.
Horrifying.
I like the Joan Collins segment with the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
good.
one's good in every one they've done, I think, because the old EC Comics one is so good, and then the HBO one's real good with that one too.
Yeah, and it's a really different take because HBO one's really comedic, and then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one with Joan Collins, it's a much more gritty, realistic Santa Claus.
Yeah. And I think
He's a creepy
in the
Santa
old
Claus.
DC, I think I don't know if it was Jack Davis that did that one, but like the Santa in it is really deranged looking too. If you can find an old reprint or something, like it's a great one.
Michael Key, what's your number 11?
I'm gonna go with the first Alien movie. I don't know if I'd be in this business if it hadn't have been for that film and finding the first issue of Cinemantastique and them talking about that. Yeah, there's so many great designs in there. The face hugger, the chest burster, and of course the big guy. And what a great story, incredible sets, and the amazing Ridley Scott
Was amazing.
scaring the pants out of all of us. Just an incredible movie.
Can't argue with that. Troy, what's your number 11? I think he's muted again.
I am. I don't know what's going on. I got the Cannibal Hillbillies from Wrong Turn
Oh, really?
at
Okay.
11. I really dug those. I just thought like all the different characters were so good and how they had each one had a different look. That might be my most modern one on my list, but I dig and how
I
can
like
you go
it too.
wrong with Cannibal Hillbillies? Gotta love them.
I agree. Let's see.
One
Now
of my
we're-
best friends are Cannibal Hillbillies.
Number 10. We're to number 10 out of 13 here. So I have Society, which is a very bizarre movie, but I just love especially the end when you just have all the weird body makeup and they have like a big orgy and everyone's melding into each other. And it's just a bizarre, crazy movie. And I like to watch it. So Society is number 10 for me.
It's a good one.
Which it was on Shudder recently. I don't know if it's still there or not. But
I'll have to check it out and see if it's there.
yeah. Michael Laudati, you're number 10.
I'd say The Elephant Man,
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
John
You have
Hurst.
lightning outside? So like,
Yeah, the storm is starting behind me.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear too.
Getting scary. I'm going to lower my light.
Ooh,
it added to the atmosphere, I thought. Yeah.
that
I thought maybe it was just special effects you did for
Yeah. Yeah, I love The Elephant Man. That goes back to my early makeup inspirational period, was seeing that film and seeing how important the makeup was to the overall story, and how well it played with John Hurt playing that part, and the humanity that comes through the makeup made it a real success for me. And it's great.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if the makeup didn't work, the movie wouldn't work.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, no, it absolutely worked. And he really looked like the guy too. He really looked like John Merrick. They got a very close likeness. You know, they weren't afraid of it. They didn't tone it down at all. You know.
Is Chris Tucker? Is that who did that?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Tucker. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing makeup.
Eryn and Michael, number 10.
Let's see. Oh, I was going to show this too to Craig, but Craig left.
All right here.
Is that Rick did a Grimm's
Oh,
Dyke
yeah.
makeup.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
He did that for our Halloween party a couple years
Wow.
ago. He came as that, and nobody knew it was him. So he like really liked that nobody knew it was
That's
him at our
awesome.
party. And he
That was
just walked
great.
around and had a good time, and nobody knew it was him. It was really
Well,
great
Good,
though.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
know
it's,
they
a
did a
it's
tribute.
cotton and latex. You know,
On
just cotton and latex.
Walking Dead, they did a tribute. They did a Grimm's
Oh,
Dyke.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we would like to, you guys mentioned Gilman before, but one of my favorite and our favorite makeups is the Gilman from Monster Squad
Oh,
that
nice.
Steve Wang and Matt Rose did. And it's still just so stunning. I mean, all the monsters in that are cool, but that one in particular is just really stands out. And the way that Tom Woodruff performed in the suit is really exceptional. It's just really cool.
Yeah, I love that movie.
The
But,
paint job is great. It really holds up well. I just watched it the other day again, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Tommy Noonan's Frankenstein was great too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so good. It's a really pretty,
Yeah.
well done, subtle Frankenstein makeup.
Yeah. And a cheap plug for Without Your Head. My interview with Tom Noonan is on the special edition Monster Squad Blu-ray
Oh,
that
cool.
was put out in Germany. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he's had quite a career.
Yeah.
But that's got a lot of just different looking take on classic monsters. But the Gilman in particular is very stunning. The paint job is incredible. I mean, the design is great, but the paint work is amazing.
Ray, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is The Munsters.
Oh, very
I
excellent.
always was appreciated, first of all, it was a Frankenstein, and I never got to really see the original monster movies until later on, because I was in Europe for so many years, and then they didn't show on TV that much. But The Munsters was on. They were on reruns, and used to be able to see that, and I always came to appreciate, later on I came to appreciate, how that must have been to have done those makeups every day, and to maintain those makeups. I mean, they're basically paint and powder makeups,
Yeah.
except for Herman's headpiece and Grandpa. I think he had a nose,
Get a nose, I think.
but to maintain and to over the year, over the episodes and over the course of I think it was 2 seasons, they did change, but I always found that, and it was shot like a Universal horror film. It had it was dark, and it was creepy, unlike the Addams Family, which was just a black and white sitcom. But the Munsters just had the feel of, even though it was a comedy, it was still like being in a haunted house, and
Yeah.
monsters, and occasionally they had a wolf man or a creature, but but to me, I always appreciated, as later on as I became an artist and became a makeup artist, just how they were handled, how well the paint and powder was, and the highlight and shading. But you can also see the mistakes sometimes, and sometimes they didn't make up the arms on Lily. You can see her arms were darker than her face was sometimes, But
There wasn't Uncle Gilbert the creature.
yeah,
The
Uncle
Black
Gilbert was a
Lagoon?
creature. I forgot what the Wolfman was.
Well, I
he
guess the
looked
kid,
more-
right?
Wasn't
that? But he looked more like he didn't look like Lon Chaney's Wolfman. He looked more
No.
like the werewolf that a
Yeah.
movie that.
Well, he had the doll though, didn't he? The doll Wolfman.
Yeah.
He was called Wolfie
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. Well, Eddie had the doll, the
Yeah.
wolf doll. So yeah, that to me was, I was very inspired by that. But because at that time too, it's when I was reading Famous Monsters, and I was learning about makeup, and also I had the Dick Smith do-it-yourself monster makeup. So it just started to really come together for me as a kid.
And they had the cars, so
Yeah.
Parts. That's
You
what you
can't beat
like.
those.
Dracula. Yeah,
So good.
it is. I love the Munsters. Louis.
Like my list is not in order, so one of my
That's all right.
favorites was Lost Boys.
Oh, that's excellent.
Oh my God,
Yay!
that's just those makeups that Canham did. They were just beautiful. I just loved them, and they really inspired me. They were great.
And I Still Believe,
Yeah,
the song, if no one knows
Yeah,
what I'm talking
one of my
about.
great favorites.
But
One
yeah,
of
that's
my
an awesome movie.
favorites.
that guy was at Monster Palooza selling like oil for your body, like
Yeah.
body oil.
Uh-huh.
really.
He stepped right into it.
Yeah.
Owned it.
Yeah, he's on all those circuits. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. I had him on the show. I did like a 2-hour interview with him on the show. He's
Oh, you
awesome.
did?
cool.
Oh, that's cool.
He's a
Tim
really interesting
Capella.
guy. He has like
Capella.
I thought it'd be fun to have him on to talk about that, but he's a big history with work with a lot of huge musicians, and he's just
Yeah.
a really nice, interesting guy.
Yeah, no, that was a great one, and just the movie. That's another one that whenever it's on, I got to stop and watch.
Yeah,
If it's on,
definitely.
Yeah,
Lost
definitely.
Boys, I'm on.
And another one that works is both a comedy and a horror.
Yeah, exactly.
At the
I-
time when it came out, though, I liked Lost Boys, but most of my colleagues and peers were like, "Oh no, Near Dark. That's the
Near
I like that one a lot too.
yeah." They were about that. And I'm going, I don't know. I like Lost Boys. Oh, this is the good one. Now nobody remembers Near Dark unless you're
Unless you're a horror guy, but yeah, it's definitely a much more. And I think Lost Boys has grown in popularity. It was popular then too, but it's like a classic now. And yeah, Near Dark is more like the obscure
Yeah.
hardcore horror fan knows it, but not a lot
Lance
of
is
other
so
people.
good in that though.
Bill Paxton was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paxton and
Lance
Jeanette
Henriksen.
Goldstein, the one that played in.
Yeah.
They were both in Aliens.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Lance Hendrickson.
Movie.
Was he the main kind of vampire
I
guy?
mean,
Yeah, he lost it because he's a thin guy anyway, but he got like super skinny for that role. He looks like so sickly. Craig, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is the makeups from the Island of Dr. Moreau, not the new one, but the one the Bermans did.
Yeah.
Those are one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's
The
one of my
hyena
favorites.
man.
Because it was like there was so many. It was like I remember seeing that movie. We had a blackout in New York when that movie came out, and I won tickets to see it for free from from the New York Post, and I couldn't go that day because there was a blackout, and they didn't want to honor the tickets because it was. I said, there was a blackout. How am I gonna? So I saw it the next day. I got like somewhere. If you see me leave, it's because when you guys talk, I go, oh, I got something for that. I got the movie book about that movie, the movie book about that movie, and it's got all the makeups in it. And I got the Chris Tucker makeups, like pictures when they had at the Museum of the Moving Image, they had the makeups on display. And so I was trying to find those pictures. So trying to, find stuff, trying to make myself look cool.
You don't have to try, Craig.
There
You
you
are
go.
cool.
Thank you. But that's my number 10 is the Island of Dr. Moreau. The one with Michael, was it York?
Michael York,
and
yeah.
Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
That's
Barbara Carrera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara
Mhm.
Carrera.
And who was the lawgiver in that? Who was guy from
Was
Journey to the.
No.
Who was it?
Guy that played Captain Nelson.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Seaview. What was his? Oh yeah.
I could try to find it.
I can't remember his name.
What is the law?
Yeah.
Goes to the House of Pain. I call the dentist the House of Pain.
And I think it was Lugosi in the old.
Lugosi was the Sarah of the Law.
Yeah, in the House of
Island of Lost
Island of Lost Souls, right?
Charles Lawton.
With Charles Lawton. Yep. I love that one too. That's such
That
a
was
great.
good.
That one almost made my list.
Richard Basehart was the
There
sayer
you
of the
go.
law.
Richard Basehart.
That's
Yep.
right. He was the captain of the Seaview.
Yep. Him and David Hedison in that one.
Michael Key, what's your number 10?
Curse of the Werewolf, with Roy Ashton's great makeup on Oliver Reed.
Oh, good.
Most of the British Hummer films, I felt like they were like not good versions of what was being done with Universal. But I thought with this particular movie that he knocked it out of the park. He had a really more original design. He had a great actor which to put it on.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie.
Yeah,
I like the origin in that too, like with the whole curse thing more than like being bitten by a werewolf. I thought that was kind of cool.
You can't go wrong with Oliver Reed.
No, Oliver Reed's a man.
It was a great part. He played a good part.
I wouldn't want to put a makeup on him though.
I'm sure that's probably not a good time. Probably worse later on in his life, but yeah. What's your number 10, Troy?
My number 10, there's so many different parts of it, but I think just John Carpenter's The Thing. Like just, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite makeup from it, but I think just it in general, just
Right.
everything that happens in it's just amazing.
Well, that's that game.
This is the board game, which is very fun.
See, yeah, actually, I had a thought about that because I wanted to put The Thing down, but I was like, is it a makeup or is it a
That's what I was about.
Oh yeah, good point.
I did too.
I mean, but there's
Talked about that
some,
too.
there's a lot of makeups in that as well. The amputee that they put the stunt mask
Yeah.
on for
That's so good.
amazing, so many amazing things in that movie that you just don't think about. You're like, oh man.
So good.
Part that makes you wince the most though is when Kurt Russell takes the X-Acto blade and cuts his
Oh.
thumb. Because that's
Yeah.
what
Is that in the game? Is the game where
Well,
you make prick your finger?
No, but you can test everyone to see if they are the thing or not, which
Oh,
is
wow.
very interesting. And part of the game is it promotes like lying because one of you might be the thing, and if you are, you got to keep it from everybody, and you try to sabotage everything else, and it really builds up. It's just a
A
really
lot of
good
good
game.
paranoia in that.
It
game.
is. It builds
Yeah.
and when we
Oh,
played it
that's fun.
it's awesome. We played at a convention, and we all thought I forget her name, but it was a friend of ours' girlfriend was playing with, and we all thought she was the thing. So we all voted to burn her with the fire with the
With the
flamethrower.
flamethrower?
And so we killed her and in the game. And then she wasn't the thing. And then like I still kind of feel guilty about that. I'm like, man, we killed this poor
You
innocent.
That's a
should.
powerful game
It
then.
is, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds cool. But of course, you have to have a bunch of people to have it be more fun.
Yeah, you really,
Yeah.
you have to, yeah, it's best with a bunch of people. Was it, Troy, did you do your 10?
Yep. That was the thing. That's
thing,
what
yeah,
got
of
this
course.
started.
Yeah. Number 9 for me are the Deadites and Evil Dead 2.
Oh, nice.
It's just a fun movie. It's like a horror version of Looney Tunes. It's just nonstop craziness going on, and it's good times. So yeah, Evil Dead 2. I was gonna pick Evil Dead, but probably the effects are better than Evil Dead 2. But
Evil Dead 2 are good. Henrietta, that costume, that whole makeup was.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I'll swallow your soul.
That was fun. We got to do years ago. We did a off-Broadway version of Evil Dead the musical, which was kind
Oh,
of
wow.
fun.
Hey.
I think they did a tour around in a couple of cities around, but it was just
wow.
it was fun. It was just goofy and campy, but it was just great. Like
Oh,
Evil
man.
Dead the musical.
Yeah, I never
I'd
saw
definitely
that, but
go
I'd love
see
to
that.
see that.
Yeah.
Just the first 3 rows were the splash zone. So if you were in the first 3 rows, you were going to get bloody. You were gonna- they would give out ponchos, and you were just going to get bloody.
That's so cool.
It was a fun one.
Sounds like a good time. Unfortunately, I guess you can't do it at the moment, but hopefully someday we can go to live events and get goop spread on us. Michael Laudati.
I have to say, Lon Chaney's Wolfman.
Yeah.
That's an inspiration for me. I think it's a perfect makeup, and it's a perfect movie too.
I agree.
I think it holds up really well. Lon Chaney, is just very memorable. And the entire cast, Bela Lugosi, Maria Oxenskaya, all of it. It's a perfect universal horror movie, I think. The set design, the lighting, the music.
Music was awesome.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's just all contributes to a perfect period horror movie. So that was an inspiration for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's hard for me not to put all the Universal monster movies on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all the same guy too.
I think that was how my list started. I think I had like 12 Universal movies and then one other thing. And like, nah, I don't know. I gotta fiddle around.
Eryn and Michael, you're number 9.
Our number 9. Oh, first I wanted to say to Lou, your live performance was probably like going to a Guar concert, right? Have you
pretty
ever
much.
been to Guar?
Yeah.
Nice. Our next one is Abe Sapien from Hellboy,
Oh, nice.
as well as Hellboy. Hellboy was a beautiful makeup
Yeah,
as
That's
well.
true. Yeah.
But Abe Sapien kind of blew doors. It was amazing.
Yeah, Tom Flouts for Spectral Motion, right?
That paint job.
Beautiful. And Doug Jones, of course, just is so incredible as Abe Sapien, but it's just a all around very stunning and unusual makeup. It's really cool.
Yeah, how much his collar just sold on the prop
Oh
auction?
yeah, I was telling just earlier, well before with that, I've been watching the prop store auction for the last 2 days.
Mm.
And his collar just sold, the Abe Sapien collar just sold for like, I don't even think it was like $25,000 or
Oh,
something.
wow.
And like his goggles sold for 15,000 or something. Is insane.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been
I
fun to
thought
watch
maybe
it.
Craig bought it and he was going to wear it on the show here, but
Hold on, like 1 minute.
see, Ray, what's your number 9?
My number 9 comes from The Exorcist. While Reagan and all that was awesome, all the makeups that were done on Linda Blair, but what I really liked was Father Marin,
Yes.
Max von Sydow. I didn't know at the time that this was makeup.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was a wonderful age makeup, and so that's one of my favorites. Because later on, seeing Max von Sydow, obviously he wasn't that old. So Dick Smith did a great job.
Success.
Beautiful.
Can't spot him problem with that makeup. It's just beautiful.
It just, I just assumed that Max von Sydow, that's how old he was.
Yeah.
It's never occurred to me that he was in makeup.
Mhm.
And he played so much, it wasn't just like a couple scenes and he was gone. I mean, he was part of the movie, integral part.
And Dick created so many products for that, like he, to packs and the agers for that. He came up with so many things during that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was genius. What he did was taking and do a stretch and stipple job on Max so he could have that texture, so he could combine that with appliances. Sorry, this could be a little technical. I don't know if your audience cares about that, but that's the absolute genius of Dick Smith.
Yeah, he was amazing. What he did, what he innovated.
Oh, Louie, you're number 9.
One of the things that got me, that it's, again, one of my inspirations was the apes from the original Planet of the Apes movies. I mean, back when I was a kid, we didn't have VCRs or DVD players. We would come home, there was the 4:30 movie and Apes Week. You used to come home and watch
Apes
every
Week.
day you would watch each one of the ape movies, and be glued to the TV. Oh my gosh, my friends would be like, "We're gonna go outside." No, I'm watching Apes Week.
Godzilla Week.
Godzilla Week.
Yeah, Godzilla Week.
Gamera Week. You'd have a different,
Loved Gamera. I loved Gamera so much.
One of my favorites too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Leave the house. That was it.
I had the pleasure of, I met John Chambers in 1981. I went
Really?
to a studio in LA. Yeah, it was amazing. It was so cool. It was his garage, and he had the zero makeup, a bus sticker under glass and all. It was really a place. He was a really cool guy.
That reveal in the original Planet of the Apes, when you see the guns, you hear and all of a sudden they show you the ape on the horse, and that still today to me just like blows me away.
It's shocking. It was shocking at the time.
Another one that if the makeup didn't work, the movie would.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I saw Planet of the Apes on a double feature in '71 when Beneath the Planet of the Apes came out.
Nice.
First, but seeing Planet of the Apes second still.
Oh, really? It's really weird, but yeah.
It still blew me away. So just seeing it, even though I had seen the second movie first.
I like seeing all of the outtakes of the earlier versions of those makeups.
Yeah.
You've seen those, but
wasn't it G. Robinson was Dr. Zayas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? In one of the early ones?
Yeah. And he's almost like
Dr.
more
Zayas.
humanish than he was like with the snout. And if you it's on the DVD set, they have like Beyond the Planet of the Apes or something like that. It's on the DVD.
Yeah. I
I'll have to look for that.
And
Sal Mineo was supposed to play too, but he passed out or something. He couldn't wear the appliances.
Was he to play Cornelius? Maybe.
Remember if he was? I think he was. I'm not sure it was Cornelius, but he was tested. Play and I read that a couple of times. He just couldn't wear that. He passed out or something.
Wow. Edward G. Robinson. I don't know. I'm an ape. See, I'm an ape. You human, you.
You can watch. There's a screen test. That's the first makeup. There's a screen test with him and Heston, and it's actually really, really good. You should check it out.
Oh yeah,
That's
I have to
awesome.
check it out.
Hey, you better not follow me. I'm pretty handy with this. That I'm sure. I can see that.
I think I watched the TV show first before I saw the movies.
The TV show was great, though. I loved it as a kid.
I had a Zero doll. I remember that. I was like
the models from the TV.
8, 7, or 8.
Yeah.
I had a Zero doll.
The Mego toys were great.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got all the Adar was the company that first produced the models kits, but they've been coming out with them again, so I got almost all of them.
I know I should get another with Zero doll. I loved that. I love sharing. I did.
Have to have Zero.
Yeah.
One of the greatest endings of any movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
All I remember is Spaceballs gone. Oh shit.
AJ Zyler, before we get to Craig's number 9, is there a movie character that any of you guys would like to do your own touch on?
That's one of my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
Can I do the honorable mention just to kind of say it? Why not? Anyone ever seen a movie called The Beast of Blood?
Yes.
You know,
No.
I'm sure I've seen this.
these things. I always wanted to do this guy again. I don't know how good it'll come out, but I don't know if you can see him. The Chlorophyll Man.
Oh,
Oh,
Don
yeah.
Ramon from Beast of Blood. He would be one I would love to, because actually, we were talking about what inspired as a kid. I remember seeing this movie. You know, talk about seeing certain movies as a kid. This movie was G-rated. That's what we saw so many of them as kids. And, you know, you cut someone's head off, that's good, but show boobs, oh, no. But I remember, and I would actually take aluminum foil and put it over my hand and put pieces of paper that looked like the bones. And I would walk around the house like that. That was like kind of my first makeups as a kid. But that's the one makeup I would love to take to do again.
That's cool.
Did you ever really get hurt and nobody believed you, Craig?
Say it again.
Did you ever really get hurt and nobody believed you?
Oh, when I did it, yeah, no, I guess cried wolf when I'm sitting there and I'm like, how did you do that? Actually,
Guys,
my mom did that
the
once.
fake blood again.
My mom did that once. I cut my hand really bad, and you could see the fatty layer. I cut my hand on a cat food can, and I was bleeding like crazy. And my mom goes, "Oh, that's really and I went, "No, this is real." So, but my number 9.
Sorry to laugh at that. But
yeah, it's okay. My number 9 is actually the sloth makeup. Like it's slow. It was from 7.
Goonies? Okay. Oh, 7. When he said sloth, I was
7?
thinking Goonies. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, you said,
Well,
that's what you said.
that's
That's what I
but
thought
from
too.
7. It's when the guy was tied to the bed and he was really thin, and I thought it was a puppet. I thought it was a mechanical puppet, but when
the
they
same
said,
guy who played that, played the mummy in Monster Squad. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Very.
yeah. I mean,
I
I
think
thought it
that's
was a
Tom Clancy
mechanical
again,
thing.
too.
When I found out that it was a real guy, I was like, wow. Talk about Father Merrin and not knowing it was really that age. That was another makeup that was, I did not know that was a makeup. Did not believe it was a makeup. That's my number 9.
That's a good pick. Like, I mean, I know the movie, but I wouldn't have thought of that makeup. But when you mention it, like, it is very gruesome just thinking about it. Michael K., you're number 9.
This will probably be the one I'm going to leave you with because I have to leave. My presence is required elsewhere. But I'll leave you with the one movie that scared me the most as a kid, which was the original Fly, the one with Vincent Price. It was just, Ben Nye did the makeup for it. And it was just disturbing to see, flies are gross and they're ugly and see some guy with a big fly head and a fly hand. And then his wife goes and squishes him in the press, which is really disturbing, 5 years old. So that's really disturbing, but absolutely the one that got me the most was the most simplest thing, which was at the end of the movie when they hear that little "help me" and they see this fly with a human head and human hand and the tarantula is crawling towards it. That gave me
terrifying.
Yeah, that was a great one.
I think they made the spider web for the one for the close up on the guy just by taking 2 boards and putting Elmer's glue and getting it to kind of web out on there. Just some really just basic weird things. And the bald cap that's on him is not that great and whatnot, but his performance is compelling. Scared the crap out of me.
That was a good one.
For me,
Very scary.
I love that movie because everyone talks about the remake, which, is cool and all, but I think the original one's the best.
It was good.
And that's one of my honorable mentions. That one, the Ben Nye one.
That note, I'm out, guys. Hey, it's been great.
Thank you for
It's great
joining
to
us.
see you.
Hey, Michael,
Hi, Michael. Good
Bye,
to see you.
be well.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Troy,
Thank God
who's
he's
muted
not-
again.
Whew.
All right, give us the dirt on Michael Key. Troy. Oh, you're not mute anymore.
Oh.
You're number 9. I
Number
believe.
9.
Yeah.
I got Karloff in the Mummy. I love that look when he's all bandaged and then
Yeah.
without it, with all like just the seriously old age kind of skin going on. Looks like parchment. I just think that's just so cool.
I love it too. As a matter of fact, it's my number 8.
Nice.
So
One of my picks.
we'll go to Michael Laudati with his number 8 because my number 8 is also the Mummy.
Well, that was number 9 for me though.
I know, but
Oh,
I'd
okay.
be next with number 8. So
Oh, okay.
I think we're getting into ones I'll probably have a lot of repeats.
Yeah.
I would say probably the Wizard of Oz makeups.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, nice.
Those are good.
That was one of my honorable mentions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Any particular ones in there? I like the Flying Monkeys.
Yeah, the Flying Monkeys are great, actually. I love the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just the subtle texturing on his face and all, and the fact that you could actually see the actors' identities through the makeups. They were caricatures of the actors' actual faces.
The witch is so good in that too, I think.
Oh,
Like it's just
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just a
They're all
consummate
still
witch.
so
You know?
clean. They're
Yeah.
so
Everyone.
they hold up so well too. They're
Yeah.
just so they're still so stunning.
Yeah.
That was one of mine on
Milestone makeups.
Is that hard to do when you're doing makeup if you want the actor to also still be seen to make that come through when you guys are doing makeup, as opposed to totally covering them up and where you
It's
can't
like,
notice who they are?
it's kind of like drawing a caricature of somebody, and you're exaggerating specific things, especially with the lion makeup. Even though it was a heavy makeup, you could see Burt Lahr come right out of it because they angled his eyebrows and his eyes, and everything about it looked very Burt Lahr specifically. They weren't. It's like they weren't trying to make him into a lion. They were just trying to make a lion-esque Burt Lahr, but all of that, all of those makeups are just brilliant, So
That was one of the first movies to use foam latex too, right?
yeah, I think they really perfected foam latex. I had the honor of working with Charlie Schramm,
Wow.
old Hollywood makeup artist. The first movie I worked on was The Color Purple, and Charlie Schramm came in to help us.
Oh
with those
wow.
And he was telling me about the experience and what it was like to work on it. And it was just amazing to hear.
That must have been great.
Well, yeah, Bert would come in the morning and sit down, it was great. That's one of my favorites.
That's really
Eryn-
cool.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Eryn and Michael.
We picked Edgar from Men in Black
Oh, nice.
Okay, excellent.
with all the the hanging skin and everything, and just an incredible performance by Vincent D'Onofrio. And we just recently worked with him. It was like a year ago on a TV show called Ratchet that's coming out next month.
Oh,
But
Plug.
it's a plug.
wow.
But he loved to talk about. Became very good friends with Rick Baker, and he was telling us stories about it because we were, of course, all just like, tell us some more stories. And it's such a cool makeup. It's just so well done and so creepy, and the performance obviously is one of the most amazing parts of it too. But I think Rick won an Oscar for that, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think he did.
I was just watching it the other day with my son. We had a blast watching the first Men in Black together. It was that makeup still. I love it.
Oh, it's great. It's like it's so it's like so well done with like a contact that just kind of that like one contact is so heavy
and then that mushy neck.
like mushy. Like how did they? I think it's foam. Also, I think the makeup is foam, which everything moved around so well. It's just really great. So good.
I worked with Vincent on Mag 7, and he would tell us stories about the movie. It was just, we just sit there and talk to him like, yeah, and what else did you do?
I know it's so fun when it's just like really fanned out. I was one of the people that Sylvia Knight, who I work with all of us quite a bit. She did Vincent's makeup for Ratchet, and she told me later, I never noticed, but she said she was fanning out so hard every day that she was just like not talking to him at all. She was just kind of doing his makeup and like that was it. I didn't notice it until later. She was like, oh, I could barely do his makeup. I was so excited to do it. But I was such a fan.
We were
He's
doing a
in
big
so much
scene.
stuff too, if you think about it.
Yeah.
We were doing a big scene and I was supposed to be watching my makeup and I'm watching him do his thing. I'm going, he's so great.
But also the cell. He's so incredible in the cell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Those
and
are amazing makeups too.
he's so good you don't even notice him that it's him in a lot of like the Kingpin. It's like such a
Mhm.
different than Full
Yeah,
Metal
he's so
Jacket or
amazing
something.
in
Oh yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
Amazing.
Ray,
was
what
a-
is?
I have another old age makeup from Gloria Stewart from Titanic.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because I also, I mean, I know her from the old horror, she was in the old Dark House in 1932
Mhm.
and The Invisible Man in 1933. So here I think she was born in 1910 and Titanic was made in 97. So she was already 87 years old. And then I can't imagine Greg Canham, he did this makeup, doing this makeup on a woman of her age.
Yeah.
Being that there's, she is a professional actress, but still, an old woman, fragile skin and everything like that. But I think it was a wonderful makeup that he did that was done on her. And it
Yeah.
I
worked
think he
very
did
well.
that on the boat. He did that whole makeup on the boat.
No.
They all stayed on that boat when they went out and he did it like while they were out at sea.
Wow. All right, so then, yeah, the boat was moving and everything too. So that
Pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I can really appreciate the work that must have went into,
It's beautiful.
just even making the appliances for her,
Since you've had two aging makeups on your list, do you have experience doing similar work?
I have done a couple of, I did a couple on Madam Secretary on a couple of actors. I did it on myself as a kid. I tried the stretch and stipple. I tried doing Mummy and stuff like that because that's how Jack Pierce did it. And of course, reading Dick Smith's book on, using latex and liquid and rubber and cotton, building up layers of cotton and latex. And then you could actually take it off and reuse it again. That's why I did stuff like that when I was a kid. And I did something similar to that. I had a friend of mine, this guy was like 6'9". He was African-American, but he always loved Halloween and he always wanted me to do his makeup. And I made him up as zombies and stuff like that. And I did that technique on him. So yeah, I've always appreciated, makeups that were character driven, that it was just something that was done on the actor. It wasn't some mask or some big appliance. It was a very well done makeup. Like I said, with Max von Sydow, I didn't even know that was makeup.
Yeah. There's something about
as a makeup artist, if people look at or looking at a movie, they say, well, that looks like a good makeup, then I think you kind of missed your mark. Because if the audience knows that it's makeup and it's not real, because they don't know what the actor looked like when they sat in your chair. So if you do an age makeup or you turn them into a character or you injure them or a disease or something, just that for me, the challenge is to get the audience to just buy it and not just not say, oh, that's a great makeup, because they know an alien or a monster is a makeup because it's because of the nature. But a realistic character-driven makeup, I've always been impressed with.
Mhm. I like being a part of the actor's process of finding the character.
Yes, that too.
Where they include you and you help create their identity. And when you work with an actor on that level, I think it's the most rewarding part for me, where they kind of let you into their process and you help them along physically. And that's when the makeup and the character become another person. The two of you are creating another person.
Yeah.
Actually. And I think that's the fulfillment of what we do. And that's what is the fulfillment of the artistry of what we do, is to create another person with an actor as well, who fills them out, fills out their soul, and we're creating their exterior parts.
Watching the process is pretty fun too.
That sums it up for me.
As it's going on, you see them transforming into that character. It's really
Yeah, exactly. And you have that effect on an actor.
Also, we're being on set with somebody who's in makeup for the most of the time that you know them, and then you see them without the makeup on. You're like, I don't really know that person as well as I know the person.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. As well as that other character you've created. Or helped.
You see them longer in the makeup than you do without the makeup most of the
Yeah.
time.
I never thought about something like that, but it makes
Uh-huh.
sense.
Mhm.
Louis, what's your number 8?
I'd have to say Nightmare on Elm Street. The Freddy Krueger was always for the original, for the very first one. I think it was David Miller did the first. I don't know who.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
David Miller. That was the first incarnation. Then the Kevin Yeager ones were great as well, but like the original Freddy Krueger was a fun. I think that was one of the first things I tried to sculpt when I was starting out, and did like a really crappy Halloween mask of it.
And the other effects in it are cool too. I know it's like, because I've watched videos where it's like not like hard to do necessarily, but when like he comes through the wall, but it looks so cool. It looks a lot better than the remake when they do it
Yeah.
with CG.
When he's stretching through the
Yeah.
wall and stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like all that physical, practical stuff was so much better sometimes.
Craig, you're number 8.
The Phantom, Eric from the Lon Chaney makeup. That's my number 8.
That's also my number 8.
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
one of my
it's.
number ones.
I mean, it's like it's. Yeah, as you said, it's almost 100 years old and it's still out there.
Yeah.
You know?
My number 7's been mentioned as well. The Wolfman. I love it. Something I loved as a kid and still love today. Michael Laudati, your number 7.
Yeah. Let me see. Where are we here? Mark Twain Tonight. Dick Smith's Mark Twain makeup on Hal Holbrook. I was watching it the other day. It's on YouTube now, and it was incredible. I mean, he created that character. It's just a wonderful makeup, and it was a televised version of the stage play, and the characterization is wonderful. But the makeup is just amazing. It's just beautifully done, and it's all foam latex and whatever adhesives he was using at the time and all. But it really holds up well. You should look it up. Mark Twain Tonight with Hal Holbrook.
Yeah, I've not heard of that actually.
I think I
you
saw
remember
it.
You
I think I
remember
saw
when
it
you saw that
tonight.
with Jeffrey Combs as Edgar Allan Poe when he was doing
Oh,
that
the one-man show we went to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was so good too.
it was. Eryn and Michael.
I think yes, we picked, I was trying to look and see when Mark Twain Tonight aired, because I think I saw it when we took our 8th grade trip to Washington, DC. I think we saw it live.
Nice.
Wow.
Of course, I didn't know it was makeup. I probably, as an 8th grader, probably was just like, what's happening? But it
You
was
thought it was Mark
really
Twain?
amazing. Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was. But we picked for our number 8, we picked Meg Mucklebones from Legend.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
Nice.
all the makeups in Legend are fantastic, from Rob Bottin, Lois Burwell, and I think Peter Swords King did that as well. But it's but I particularly love Meg, and he likes Meg too. But the costume is just the whole entire makeup, the giant suit that and then and the face and the everything. I love it. I love the fingers and all of it.
You can't really get close to that makeup. If you do something similar, it's like, oh, you're
Right, yeah.
in that makeup.
Yeah, it's super iconic. And I got to work with, I'm sure all of us have worked with Robert Picardo before, but he was, I did a show called Sabrina the Teenage Witch years ago, and he played like her future father-in-law. And I pretended to keep my cool. And then Melissa Joan Hart, who played Sabrina, came in and she said, "Oh, Eryn is so excited to do your makeup. She's your biggest fan," or something. And I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And he goes, "Oh, I just did this is years ago, obviously, but I just did the 25th anniversary behind the scenes of The Howling." And he just started like telling me all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, I was just so blown away. I was like, I love Meg Mucklebones so much. He's like, well, let me tell you about that. Like he almost drowned or something because the suit all that foam filled up with water. And
on the back.
yeah, and he couldn't he had to jump up out of the water like that, and he could barely get up because he was just completely waterlogged. But fascinating. But I just love that makeup. I think it's so great.
Ray, what's your number 7?
Number 7 is, again, it's another old age. But this one was from the old Dark House, Jack Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a woman, but it's supposed to be an old man. And I just, found it, it was one of Jack Pierce's stretch and stipple makeups. And she was playing Roderick Fem, which is a man, an old man, but I didn't know it was a woman. And she played in a lot of movies. She was actually, she played the old gypsy woman in Bride of Frankenstein in that one scene where the monster comes on to the family, and she said, where's my muscles and salt or something. That's the same woman. James Whale liked her and he used her in a lot of his movies. But I always thought this was an interesting makeup. I mean, it was a woman playing an old man.
Mm-hmm. What's a stretch and stipple? Because I've heard you mention a couple times, but I don't know what it is. I'm sure a lot of people don't.
I don't either.
It's a technique we use. You take latex, and what you do is you stretch your skin like around your eyes. You apply the latex to it, and you hold the skin taut, and you dry the latex. You powder it, and then when you release it, your skin wrinkles up. And if you do it properly, you'll get the proper wrinkles in the directions they actually go. And that's basically how it's done. But you can do different layers, to make it heavier. But you have to be very careful that you follow, the way wrinkles actually go, because if they go the wrong way, then it just doesn't look believable.
Right.
And it's hard to do on young people because they have very smooth and, very smooth skin. It's easier on an older person, and it's not something you can really. I mean, something like this, it's, she was laying in bed and that's all you see. So, you have to be sometimes you can be very limited on what you can see and what you can be shot, depending on playing the character. But the mummy, the Ardith Bay part of the mummy in the original mummy, a lot of that was stretch and stipple.
Oh.
It was done on Boris Karloff. It was heavy layers, and I think they might even use cotton in that too.
Right, yeah.
I've done today. You can get silicone instead of using latex. You can buy silicone base. I think Bluebird puts out a nice, and I've used that a couple of times, and that works really well.
Yeah.
Neil and I have learned something new tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people watching.
It's a very common technique. It's been used for a long time. Lon Chaney used it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he drew a lot of his wrinkles on too. If you really can see, if you look at some of his makeups, see some of the photographs of his make, you can see where he actually very finely drew in a lot of the wrinkles. Very well.
Yeah, he used theatrical techniques, and then he refined them for film.
Yeah.
Got that expertise from the theater.
Love a good stretch and
So
stipple.
I have one more old age makeup it's his, Lon Chaney's.
Okay.
Very cool. Louie, what's your number 7?
I'm gonna go with Mike and Eryn's Legend. The darkness makeup was one of my favorites. I mean, we'll make those crazy forms on Tim Curry were just amazing. It's one of my favorite devil makeups out there. And
I mean, the horns.
Yeah, the horns are ridiculous.
Oh. When I did the devil makeup for Will Ferrell to turn, and when he was trying to steal Garth Brooks' soul, I tried to channel a little bit of darkness into that.
That's a great makeup too, Louie.
I was trying to. That was my channeling of darkness in there a little bit. I just wish I could make the horns bigger.
They were huge.
You think it must be heavy to wear something like that?
Those things were huge. I sculpted a half scale one of those years ago, and when I went out to LA, I met with Henry Alvarez and showed him the photos, and he was like,
cool.
"My horn." He's like, "Oh, your horns are way too small," and he showed me what it was. I'm like, "Oh my god, I gotta go."
You got horn envy now, huh?
It was way off.
Craig, what's your number 7? I'm sorry.
Number 7 is the Tar Man from Return of the Living Dead.
Nice.
Yay!
And William Munns was the right. So that's one of my favorite makeups. I mean, yeah.
It's so good.
Number 7 was Tar Man.
That's a great one.
Some of the best zombies throughout
yeah.
that movie, Tarman and then the half zombie is pretty
Yeah.
awesome too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Dead body to get spiked in the head.
Uh-huh.
And more paramedics.
No.
Troy, you're number 7.
Number 7 is the Gillman in Shape of Water.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Now I think we've had 3 amphibious
Gillman.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Blue, do you have a story about that?
We had when Sam Rockwell hosted, we had to build 2 full suits like that in 2 days,
Oh my
Wow.
God.
and then the sketch got cut between dressing.
Oh.
and
No.
Oh no.
So, soup to nuts, 2 of them to fit on Pete Davidson and Sam Rockwell, and then the sketch just didn't. It wasn't funny, so it got cut. And
Oh,
Oh.
it was a lot
so
of-
devastating.
it's the nature of the beast. So many times we've built like full War Machine suits, and they've gotten cut, and
Oh, no.
it's just the nature of the beast. But then I get to have these cool suits in my shop. So
Well, I was going to ask who gets to keep those things. Like, you know, if I was the actor, I'd be like,
they're all in my shop.
I'm set for Halloween this year, you know?
Number 6. I think all the rest of mine might have been mentioned, but Phantom of the Opera. It's just amazing. We talked about it, but well, the reveal of Phantom of the Opera, it's one of the best, I think, scenes in a horror movie of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're number 6, Michael.
A recent one, I like the Oliver Hardy makeup in Stan and Ollie, which came out last year.
That is great. Yeah.
I thought that was just brilliantly done.
Yep.
I mean, the makeups I see nowadays are just phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't get any better. Just the artistry in all of them. And one of my favorites is Pepper, the Pepper makeup from American Horror Story.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I
Naomi
absolutely
Grossman. Yeah.
love it. Whenever I see a
One of my
picture,
favorites.
I just think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the actress I was talking about. That-
Yeah, Naomi
yeah.
Grossman.
It's in the makeup, that's who I know.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing. So
Yeah,
Oliver
it's-
Hardy, yeah,
it's really good makeup.
that Oliver Hardy
Good
makeup.
choice.
And I love the film.
Our third co-host who can't be here tonight, she's on set on a film, Trista Robinson. She's actually the mouth on the poster of American Horror Story Freak Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
She's got like the clown makeup on with the
Yeah.
mouth.
And that, apparently it's her mouth. There's no trickery with which is very
Wow.
Eryn and I should have got her 13. We could have read them here, but Eryn and Michael.
Let's see. I have to say I'm a big fan of Beetlejuice. We like the Beetlejuice
I
makeup.
was gonna have
And
that on my list.
it's
yeah.
actually one of the only, I had Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands kind of together, but it's really the only woman that designed any of these makeups besides,
Really?
I mean, Millicent Patrick designed the gill suit, the creature from the Black Lagoon, but V actually, did so many Tim Burton films, and I'm a big fan of hers and think she's just brilliant. And she still is just incredibly talented. And I just think that the Edward Scissorhands makeups, which are very subtle makeups with like a brow piece and all the little cuts and everything. And then kind of similar look to the Beetlejuice makeup, but that's all her doing all the test makeups and fine tuning all that, with her relationship with Tim Burton, as he had some general ideas of what he wanted, but she's the one that created all that. And they're very iconic and stunning and well done.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Choice. Ray, what's your number 6?
My number 6 been mentioned already, Lon Chaney's Wolfman. I've always was impressed by, Jack Pierce again, doing that makeup, laying that hair. It was all hand-laid hair.
Beautiful.
And then he would singe it with the heater, with the curling iron, and to get that gnarly, animal look. But yeah, and it was a great design. He designed the makeup for Henry Hall's werewolf in 1935. And he had something, what he originally wanted to do for Henry Hall was like the Lon Chaney makeup, but they wanted Henry Hall recognizable to his wife in the store. Realize what he wanted to do, when he did the Lon Chaney makeup.
Yeah.
And, I've always liked it. I mean, I love Frankenstein. He's like my favorite, but Wolfman pretty much next.
And it's the best of the Lon Chaney Wolfmans.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
there are different versions. He played it multiple times, but that was the best version.
So I've always liked it. I mean, it's, he has the teeth and I don't know for sure if he actually sculpted that nose each time, but I think towards the other movies, he did have a piece for Lon Chaney to wear with a little bit of a brow.
I think it might have been foam latex by that time, because that was after The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
So it probably was a foam latex piece.
But, I mean, if you read about how they did the transformations, not so much in the original movie, but in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, I mean, they had a pillow. I mean, when you see him when he changes in the hospital, he's laying on the pillow, that's a piece of plaster. So the wrinkles will all stay the same and they would lock everything down. He would get
Oh,
up.
I
and
didn't know
put more
that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
makeup
pretty
on,
wild,
and
yeah.
then lay down again and they'd shoot it, and then it'd take like 8 hours just to shoot
Yeah,
that.
all in the camera.
Yeah. So that's my number 6.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Louie, what's your number 6?
Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
love it.
Nice, perfect.
That's a great one. I mean, that makeup, you just love Harry. You fall in love with that character. It just
Yeah, so much emotion in the face.
yeah.
Yeah.
You feel for him. You're like, it was so great, so beautifully done. That's one of my favorite makeups as well.
It kind of became the iconic.
I think it's
like
the best Bigfoot movie.
Yeah,
It really is. And again, that's what's his name, Kevin Peter, that was in the Predator suits and all of that.
Kevin Peter Hall.
Kevin Peter Hall, same actor. It was just a beautifully done Bigfoot. All that hair work on that thing, and it was just amazing.
Craig, you're number 6.
The Frankenstein's monster from Jack Pierce. That's
Nice.
my number 6. It's one of those makeups that have been around. When you think about makeup, that's one of the ones that pop up immediately. There he is. I think I got the one, and I think I got the one from Burger King.
Oh, that's great.
I think it used to light up too, but I don't know how, but yeah, it's like Burger King or something. Actually, can I show you guys something?
No. Yeah.
No.
No, all right. I don't know if you can see it right there. Sorry. Do you see the Bigfoot?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That was one of my things I did from the Weekly World News, and that was all I based it upon the Harry and the Hendersons face.
That's
Yeah,
so
so-
cool.
Weekly World News.
Sorry,
I
but
love the bad
yeah.
boy in that. He was my go-to guy.
Well, I've done a few of those, but that's for another show.
Speaking of music, they did a Bat Boy musical near me one year for
That would have
Halloween.
been
This
tremendous.
small theater does like weird horror musicals, and that was one. I didn't get to it, unfortunately. But number 6 for you, Troy.
I got Jack in The American Werewolf in London, Griffin Dunn, and just how he starts off, when he comes back as the Grateful Dead character, and when he starts off with just the scratches, and then he gets a little more gruesome as time goes by, starts to deteriorate. I just love him. It's just great.
I agree. He looks awesome, and he has some of the funniest lines in the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the stuff when they're in the theater at the end is just like some of the best stuff.
It's like, hello, David.
Jack, you look like a meatloaf, Just awesome.
Number 5 has been mentioned, Alien. There's not much more to say about it. It's Alien. So what's your number 5, Michael?
Have we mentioned Poltergeist?
No, that's a
No, that was one of mine.
So much fun.
That's a great one.
So
too.
much
Yeah.
fun. A lot of really good stuff there.
Oh,
The face melting, that was one that used to freak me out as a kid.
Yeah.
Chicken and
When he's
And his skin's
when
like coming off. Yeah, when he's like trying to.
starts digging around his face.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Definitely. Let's see, Eryn and Michael.
I think we thought that the Lestat makeup on Tom Cruise
Oh,
in
nice.
Interview with a Vampire is one of the best dead makeups. It's got a lot of gray and pink in it. It's really weird. It's like very, because it's New Orleans, they kind of had like a bog feel to it because it's so damp down there. So it has like this very kind of damp decay to it.
Yeah.
We did, when we were in New Orleans, we kind of did a little bit of some of that makeup look we did on some of the zombies we had in American Horror Story. Cause I just love the makeups. And then of course there's an incredible, not only is there an amazing makeups on Tom Cruise, but the makeups in general are very good. With all the veining and everything. And then Michelle Burke did that. And so did Stan Winston did an incredible puppet of where Tom Cruise's body decays when all of the blood comes out of him when she cuts his throat, and it all sinks in on itself, and it's a puppet. It's fantastic.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really incredible. So if you ever get to look at it again, it's really good. And then like his teeth, his like gums pull back and everything. It's really wild. But all of it in general, great makeups in it.
Yeah, it's a go-to reference picture for sure. You're like, we want this. I know we do.
Yeah, it's
We can't
really,
do that.
but the colors are really beautiful in it that they painted on him after he passed away, after he comes back from dead.
Ray, you're number 5.
My number 5 is another age makeup. It's Lon Chaney as Mr. Wu.
Mm-hmm.
And this man, Lon Chaney at the time was only 41 years old, but he was able to transform himself into a very old Chinaman. And apparently I read that he actually wore this out on the trolley car in LA, and everybody bought it. Nobody, they never paid attention to him. They just thought he was an old Chinese man.
Wow.
Lon Chaney had a way of, again, it was the way he acted, his body and everything, as well as the makeup that he created for himself. He became this character, and he would play multiple characters sometimes in his movies.
I think in that movie he played multiple characters.
He did.
He played different generations of the same family.
Right. So, and I think too in this movie, the one outfit that his character wore is the same top that Boris would wear as Fu Manchu.
Oh wow!
No kidding.
I did, because I remember when I made a Fu Manchu figure years ago, and I had to kind of paint that. And then I noticed that when I saw this movie, I said, wait a minute, that's what because they were both made at MGM. So they borrowed from the same costume department. But I was always very impressed with this because I saw this photograph of him all the time in Famous Monsters. I just saw the movie. And it didn't occur to me that, this was a 40-year-old man in makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he did this on himself. So, he would take tape and he would pull his eyes back and he would tape it behind his head so it would just pull and slant, and slant his eyes. And he did that in several films. And he did that, I think, with The Phantom, where he taped it to the tip of his nose and he pulled his nose back and he taped it back.
Yeah, my brother Tony, who was a model animator, now he's an editor, has been assembling reproductions of Lon Chaney's makeup kit using a vintage box that's identical or all close to identical. What's that?
Didn't you have a box that was close to what Lon Chaney had?
I had something similar, but he buys boxes that date to the 1920s, and then he fills them with the same with vintage makeup products that he gets, and he's been selling them on eBay. And one was purchased by the guy who now owns Lon Chaney's house in Beverly Hills, has that reproduction of this. And another was bought by Tom Savini, bought another one.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but they're really cool. I mean, they look exactly like what he used. It's amazing.
Wow. Louie, what's your number 5?
The original Mission Impossible TV series, all those great disguises they used to do.
Oh yeah, yep.
All those makeups they did on Leonard Nimoy or What's the other guy?
Martin Landau.
Yeah, Martin
Yeah,
Landau.
Martin Landau, right.
So many amazing makeups. They were fun. Those are the other thing you'd watch Mission Impossible. You'd like waiting for that disguise makeup that they would do, you know?
How many years I bought into that they actually pulled it off, you know?
Humble beginnings.
Number 5 for you, Craig.
The Creatures from the Black Lagoon, Millicent Patrick and Bud Westmore. It's one of those makeups, once more, iconic. It's on everything. I always remember my sister used to have a poster of the gill man coming up from the water, and the caption we had was like, all right, who peed in the pool? Creature from the Black Lagoon is my number 5.
Number 5 for you, Troy.
We got the Wolfman. So I
think you
really
made
don't have anything more to say about that. I
Yeah.
think he's on everybody's list.
My number 4 is mentioned. I forget by who, but Day of the Dead. I think it's Dawn of the Dead's my favorite zombie film, but I think Day of the Dead is the coolest looking zombies. Return of the Living Dead also, but yeah, Day of the Dead.
I found years ago, I was working at a movie theater, and United Artists used to use the storage unit of the movie theater. And I found the original storyboards for the opening title, which
Wow.
I now own because I
Yeah.
it's like the original
Good for you.
storyboard art for that opening sequence with Dr. Tongue and all. It was just
Oh, that's sweet.
I had to take that home.
That's
So I've got
awesome.
those. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another. Oh, I forgot the tongue. I have the patch. I forget the artist, but he made a patch of that, and I bought it. It's like really wild. Michael, you're number 4.
The end sequence from Taxi Driver, I think, the shootout sequence from Taxi Driver, I think,
When he blows the hand off.
blows the hand, does all of that stuff, and plus the bald cap that De Niro wore. That was truly inspirational. It was so shocking, so real looking at the time, and it was just like the end of a horror film. The way Scorsese put it all together, it was like a nightmare. But yeah, those stand out as great makeup as part of the story.
One of my favorite movies. Eryn and Michael, you're number 4.
Oh yeah.
Mason Verger from Hannibal. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what an amazing makeup by Greg Cannon. And I just found this online. I think he might have used this for reference material. Maybe not.
That was another one of those like very similar. Gary Oldman is very similar to that kind of, Lon Chaney type person where he's, distorting himself underneath his makeup, and the under appliances that were done, the under structure that was done that could pull his eye down and pull his mouth back and everything. It's like crazy just being in that makeup, and he was so distorted. Like the makeup is so distorted and disturbing. I don't necessarily know it's kind of a suspenseful film. There are some really gross parts in it, but that makeup in general, it's so beautiful and so realistic and disturbing.
We all wish for that actor that wants us to pull their eye down and their lip.
Please pull the eye down, please.
Yeah.
Ray, you're number 4.
My number 4 has been mentioned already, Charles Laughton's Hunchback. But I've always really liked that version. He was very sympathetic. It was a great design. I think Charles Laughton was part of the design. I know Perce Westmore did the makeup. It was a personal, he was like a personal to Charles Laughton for that makeup, the special character makeup that he did. And I think Laughton had a lot of say in how it was designed and everything like that. And it must have been very uncomfortable for him to wear that, especially with the one side of his eye, he couldn't see out of that eye.
Right.
And then the distortion, and then he would actually distort his mouth and talk to one side, and he had the false teeth, and it was just a great performance. Very sympathetic, and every time I see the Hillary, is you start to cry. I mean, it's just what they you know, what was done to him, you know, on that public display, and, you know, the shame and everything, you know, really came through. And then the other, his mentor, played by Cedric Hardwicke, just riding by on his horse and ignoring him, you know, while he was tied to that pillory. But, you know, the makeup, you know, the hump and everything that they showed at that, you know, when they took his top off, you know, to beat him, you know, and then he did all that, you know, running around. I mean, I'm sure you could see in some scenes there was a stunt double, but, you know, still he did a lot of it himself too, with that hump on and that makeup. So I thought it was a great job. Lon Chaney was great. I mean, he, you know, obviously he did that all himself, but I found his characterization to be a little more malevolent, as opposed to Charles Laughton's character being more sympathetic and an outcast and somebody that was thrust into society due to circumstances.
I spent my childhood crying about monsters.
Yeah.
I cried every weekend I watched monster movies. I would just sob my eyes out. Baby Godzilla, forget it. I mean, but that movie in particular, I would just cry and cry and cry how awful and so sad, and how they treated him. Oh, why do they treat the monsters like that?
Yeah.
I'll start crying.
Oh my God. And then I didn't cry till for 30 years, but I cried so much in my childhood for monsters. I felt so bad for them.
Louie, you're number 4.
Most of mine have already been mentioned, but like one that I just thought of just a few minutes ago was Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Oh, nice.
Yay!
I have a board game up here too, but I can't get it down.
So much fun stuff in that movie. You know,
So
the
good.
makeup on there, the guy whose face blows up. There's so many in there.
Oh,
man.
it's so good.
Yeah, visually just such a fun movie to watch.
Oh, that's another one of those that if it's on, I'm like, all right, I'm stuck here for the next couple of hours, I guess.
Yeah. We're talking about, you know, if a movie's a horror movie, what? I don't even know what genre you call that movie. It fits into like multiple genres.
Yeah, and it's just Jack Burton. You got to watch.
Right. Yeah, I know they've been wanting to remake it, and you know whatever you think of remakes, but that's a hard one to remake because I can't really see anyone who's playing that character.
It's so good, you can't remake it.
Yeah.
His kid looks a lot like him though.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
They were talking
so
about The Rock would play him, but I don't see it either.
Russell's kid.
Craig, you're number 4.
There's Darkness from Legend. Rob Bottin. Yeah.
So good.
Same thing. Those horns were just like when he first comes out that mirror and that foot comes
The
out.
foot.
Foot
And then
comes
the
out,
sound and
steps
everything
out,
is so good.
and you just go, wow. I mean, the idea of just taking a makeup and it goes beyond just stretch and stipple or staying close to an actor, but you take an actor's proportions and you just expand on that. You just make it explode where you just go, wow, that can be done. You know, those horns, geez. Imagine him trying to get through the trailer door. You know, maybe people say, hey, can you hang a letter for me? Stick it on the horn. But yeah, Darkness from, you know, the Legend.
Troy, you're number 4.
My number 4, I think it's also been mentioned, but it's the pale man with the eyes in his palms from Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Which that was just the eeriest moment when he just like pops up.
It was scary.
Oh yeah, just the creepiest character. I love that thing.
Let's see. Well, now we're to the top 3. My 3 has been mentioned by everyone as well. My favorite transformation scene in American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Michael, you're number 3.
Let me see. I'll say Little Big Man.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah, that's a good. I was thinking that myself. Yeah.
As a landmark achievement in old age makeup, foam latex makeup.
And super old age makeup.
Super duper old age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the first time they used the multiple parts instead of it being one full mask? Was that when he invented?
I think.
Or was that for Legend?
I think Dick said that in Hollywood they were using just one-piece masks,
Right.
and he found it difficult to position them with glue on the face and all. So yeah, I think he developed the overlapping appliances pretty much with that makeup, but he probably was using it before that. But it was so extensive that it was the perfect way to do it for him. But yeah, I love seeing the photographs of the application of those makeups in the Richard Corson makeup book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, and all of that. So, you know, that's a standout for me.
Eryn and Michael. By the way, what's your cat's name?
We have 3.
Oh,
That
okay.
one that just walked by, that's Augie. They're all hairless. And then
Wow.
there's a
Oh,
gray one.
I can see one in the back
Yeah,
actually
one
behind
speaking
the
around the corner.
like
Yeah.
the banister there.
They're all
there
over
he
the
is.
place. Oh yeah, there's Augie. Here. There's Augie.
Oh,
Hello.
This is Maddie.
Hello, Maddie. Hello,
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, I know.
And then we have one named Edgar, and we have one named Scout.
Oh.
Um,
An Italian Greyhound?
yeah,
she's
he's so
an Italian
cute.
Grey.
Oh, she's so cute.
Thank you.
Troy used to have an
She's
Italian Greyhound.
She'd break her tail all the time.
Oh my gosh. Number 3 is Thriller.
Oh,
Nice.
that's a really good choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great choice.
Obviously, all of the makeups in it, the transformation, again, you know, obviously we're all big Rick Baker fans. It still holds up so well, and the zombies are great. And it was one of those ones that, you know, at 81, 82, then 83, all those years were just so influential to everybody. But that came out, and that was such a big deal. MTV was such a big deal. And that came out, and there was the behind the scenes, which was, you hardly ever got any behind the scenes stuff. I think there was something for American Werewolf in London at one point. There was like a 2020 thing that we got to see, but the behind the scenes of Thriller was like, wow, you know, it was just magical.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's a job. Like nobody knew.
Right.
A lot of people didn't know it was a job. So that was really influential to me and to Mike. And the makeups are great. I actually have a couple of the pieces from.
Oh, really? That's really wild.
From Thriller, yeah. And they're a little shrunken. They're kind of tiny, but
the foam is still.
the
part of
foam's
it.
still really good from 83. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ray, you're number 3.
My number 3, been mentioned, the Phantom, Lon Chaney's Phantom. I always thought that was awesome.
Mhm.
Just the way he did it too, you know, reading about how he did it. That's my number 3. You know, it's an iconic makeup.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows it. They might not know who it is or the actor, but they know that character.
Get the trash out.
But I've seen, again, reading Famous Monsters and being introduced to Lon Chaney. Corey Ackerman he loved Lon Chaney's work, and I've read Michael F. Blake's books written about Lon Chaney, and so it was always fascinating to me, you know, that Lon Chaney did those makeups on himself.
Yeah.
You know, and he was a pioneer. He was way ahead. There was no studio makeup artist back then. You know, most of the actors and most of what they knew was from the theater, and they had to just adapt it to film. You know, and film was changing a lot at the time too during the 20s. The film processes, the black and white, you know, and everything, the film stock. So, you know, the makeups had to change. The colors they used to make them look properly on camera. You know, I think I remember, or especially movies made in the teens, they don't know, because I think it was called orthochromatic film, where even somebody with just natural skin color would turn out too dark because the reds would photograph too dark.
Yes, yeah. But it was a light makeup, and especially in the silent period.
So, you know, there was no color photography then, so they didn't know even today, we don't know what color they used on some of those actors back then.
Yeah.
But so I've always been fascinated with Hollywood from its inception and right through the 20s and 30s, and how everything, I mean, how did this happen? Why did this happen? You know, why did they do it this way? And especially the makeups, you know, how did they do this? You know, they had to figure it out. You know, and makeup, that nobody wore makeup, in the 20s, women couldn't go to the store and buy makeup. It wasn't over the counter makeup. It was just professionals and prostitutes that wore makeup.
Yeah, by the 1920s, women were after World War I, women were starting to openly wear makeup, but it was pretty
it was cold
controversial,
right? What they
yeah,
really
to see a woman putting lipstick on in public, is kind of, but women were also breaking out. They were cutting their hair. They were wearing their dresses shorter.
Those crazy ladies, they're so crazy.
Yeah, the flapper period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, Louie.
Mine was already mentioned. Wizard of Oz was one of my biggest, huge influence. Just watching that movie over and over again, still stands out today. And
I would watch it every year because it was before you could buy the a copy of it or anything,
Yeah.
so it would come on once a year on TV, and it would be a big deal. Oh man, Wizard of Oz is going to be on TV.
you just watch it, and you're like, oh man, this is cool. It was like the Scarecrow and the Tin Man makeups. Just love them all.
Craig, you're number 3.
Before I do my number 3, look what I found.
Oh, very nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Magazine version.
Yeah.
Wow. That's it.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I tried to do all those makeups on myself.
Was Jack from American Werewolf in London.
Nice.
My number 3. I mean, yeah, when you first see him with the larynx, the windpipe sticking out, and the cut up face,
The little dangler.
Yeah, you remember he would just like little wiggle when he was talking. It was, you're looking at some guy who's been torn apart. You were talking about the combination of the comedy and the horror. Here's this guy that's basically horrific looking, and he's just like, yeah, so hello, David, hey, it's okay. You gotta kill yourself, dude. So it's this horrible makeup, but it's done. But he's laughing, and he's laughing about it almost. Yeah, I'm dead, but now you got to stop. Otherwise you'll make more like me.
Yeah.
And that was my number 3.
Troy, your number 3.
I got Charles Laughton's Quasimodo. That again, everybody's talked about it. It's a great one.
My number 2 is I believe someone mentioned him, Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein. My favorite monster. If you consider him a monster, I don't really consider him a monster, but great character, great look. I have been carving him in the stone and in the Catskills for the last few years. I go up there every summer, and there's a free seminar by a former guest on the show, Kevin Van Hentenryck from Basket Case, and now he's a stone carver, and so he has big boulders up there, and you can do whatever you want. So I started to do Frankenstein, and someday we'll finish him. But
That's cool.
He's gonna let you take the stone home when you're done?
it's a giant boulder, like with multiple people have different things on it, so it's just going to be in the town forever. But I did also do a smaller stone. I did Belial from Basket Case, which I have sitting in my flower garden. It's a very strange flower garden with Belial from Basket Case.
How many people recognize what that is, though?
No, nobody. Actually, no one even in the Catskills knew that he was in a movie or anything. They just know him as like the town stone carver.
Stone carver, wow.
Yeah. Michael, you're number 2.
I always love the makeups of the movie The 7 Faces of Dr. Lao.
Oh yeah.
With Tony Randall and all of the various characters that he played, including the Loch Ness Monster, the animated model at the end. So that was something I always enjoyed seeing, his transformation.
That was one, I think, the first time I ever saw it. Like we always talk about famous monsters. That was the first place that I saw that. And then when I finally saw the movie, I was so excited. I was probably like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a magical movie.
Let's see your number 2, Eryn and Michael.
I was going to show you this is from Thriller.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
And then this is one of the hands.
Oh, sweet.
Wow. That's amazing. Foam latex.
It's getting a little crunchy though. I thought it was in better shape, but I might have to figure out how to. And then for Louie, I was going to show him. These are Jason Patrick's teeth from Lost Boys.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Wow.
Those are cool.
And then these are the lenses. I have the lenses too.
Wow. Oh, big
Ah.
lenses.
But they're hard. I mean, they're
Yeah.
very
Wow.
thick.
Wow.
But
That's gotta
they're
It couldn't have been
super
comfortable.
hard.
Yeah.
They're almost
I
as
wouldn't
thick
want to
as
put
those.
these in. They're
Yeah.
crazy. They're so
Oh.
heavy. So we picked like a modern one for our number 2. We
Yeah.
picked go ahead.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of
Oh,
the Galaxy.
Just because it's such a
Excellent.
great
It's a
twist
very
on sci-fi.
it's a really cool the version of it. Just all the different bright colors and
Oh, yeah.
just very well executed. The first one, I mean, the second one is good, but the first one is when they
Yeah.
established all of the characters.
It's probably my
Yeah.
favorite Marvel movie. I think
love
it's,
it, too.
It's just so
So
fun.
good and very funny. I mean, it's not a horror film, but the
No,
makeups are
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
really, really good in it. David White did all those makeups and did a beautiful job. Just thought they were really cool. Tons of prosthetics in it. And of course, Dave Bautista's makeup is really,
I was gonna
yeah.
mention Drax the
Drax is the
Destroyer is probably my
best, yeah.
favorite character in it. Yeah,
really great. So it's not a horror film, but
that's okay.
there's so many makeups in it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Yondu, he's great too in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray, you're number 2. Excellent choice.
My number 2 was a toss-up between Boris Karloff's Mummy, but since that's been mentioned already, my other pick would have been Frederick March's Mr. Hyde,
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
so
been mentioned,
good.
31
yeah.
version. And I just
So good.
found this very fascinating. As you know, each time he became Mr. Hyde, he got worse. You know, and then the makeups, you know, was who did this? Wally Westmore.
Yeah.
And they also use filters in the camera, so
Yeah.
the makeup, you know, when they changed the filters, then the makeup would appear, the coloring and all that, and he would actually transform right on camera. You know, so I thought it was a really, effective way to do it at that time.
Yeah.
At the time when, you know, Frankenstein had just come out and the Dracula, and then this was Paramount's answer to Universal's horror films. And it was very well done. And Frederick March, he did win the Academy Award for this.
Oh, did it? Oh.
Yeah, it was one of the only horror films. I think Silence of the Lambs.
Wow.
That's later.
I think that won for Best Picture. I don't know if it was Anthony Hopkins. I don't remember if he won Best Actor.
I don't
But
remember.
Frederick
either.
March won Best Actor playing a horror character.
Mhm.
But I always thought, and this was the final piece, the final transformation at the end of the movie where he's really all haggard. Really, they really.
Oh, yeah.
Green, I mean, his big teeth and his eyes were pulled down. And, so I mean, he was a very effective Hyde. And the contrast between him and Dr. Jekyll, was very well done. And then at the time, it was a pre-code movie. It was before the production codes. And the girl that played Ivy, Miriam Hopkins, she was a prostitute, but she was. It seemed she played a good part. She was definitely terrified of this man.
Yeah.
She played a very good part, as well as Frederick March.
Excellent choice. You're number 2, Louie.
Most of mine were already done, but these are some of the ones I kept on the side. Was like
Yeah.
RoboCop.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great one.
When they shot his hand off and just started mutilating him, was just all that stuff. The Rob Bottin again. Some fun, amazing makeups.
Yeah.
The melting
That's
makeup.
what I was thinking.
Oh, that
of,
was
yeah,
the
the
worst.
thing,
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
that
most
was a
gruesome
great
scene.
Yeah.
So many cool makeups.
Yeah. That's a really gruesome movie for a movie people don't think of as a horror movie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, you're number 2.
Planet of the Apes. It's my number 2. That's another one where they had, they came out with the little kits. Remember, they came out with a bunch of the Dick Smith kits and all those. And I think Apes was, I don't know if it was a Smith one, but they had the Apes.
It was a Smith
kit.
one, yeah.
Yeah. So Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes is one of my was my number 2 choice. I think they have all that, those background DVDs now that show you all the work that went. I think they did another one that even gave you even more background information for
Wasn't that the new movie that who did that? Wasn't there a new one that just came out, documentary by Berman or by?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Making Apes.
Making Apes. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
Mike's pulling that out right now.
Yeah, that's on like Amazon, I believe, or Netflix or something.
Is it? I gotta watch.
Yeah. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's signed.
That's a really good one.
See, if you turn your head like this, and
But that's a really great documentary.
Yeah, it's like wonderful because I remember seeing that and they were talking about the relationship with Chambers, especially towards the end of the documentary. Where they talked about it, and that's definitely
pretty emotional, actually.
Very emotional. You're right. It's once more it's the passion of doing the makeup. You're talking about when Michael was talking about being part of an actor's transformation into their character. You're sort of being part of that emotional as well as the physical change, because how they have to become those people, especially for the tragic character.
Troy, you're number 2.
My number 2, the whole transformation scene in American Werewolf in London.
So that movie made your list twice.
It did. I think it was the only movie to make my list
That's
twice.
interesting. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's true.
That's my number 1. So.
Yeah, it's just
it was.
It's the best.
I was debating.
I can watch that over and over and over again.
Where exactly? I almost had number 1 too. My number 1, we're sure is Nosferatu. Frankenstein's my favorite monster, but Nosferatu I just think is like the creepiest looking
Best
monster.
look, yeah.
It still looks awesome, and it spawned a movie where they made a movie putting out the legend that it wasn't even makeup. It was really a vampire that played.
That's a real good movie too.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
So I like all 3 versions of Nosferatu. The original one, I think the remake is actually really good.
Yeah.
With Klaus
Herzog
Kinski.
one.
Yeah,
Klaus
yeah.
Kinski. And then
William Dafoe played.
yeah.
Yes.
Warlock, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another great makeup, actually. That's another
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
it is.
Very good.
So what did you kill the writer, or what did he say? Like, why didn't you, when he bites the person, he goes, why didn't you kill the writer and set up someone else or something like that? With him, Malkovich, wasn't he the director?
Oh yeah.
And he goes,
yeah.
like, why didn't you kill that one? But we still need the writer or something. Or why didn't you kill the writer? I forgot the line, but it's something like, why didn't you? Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Shadow the Vampires. Trying to think of the name of it.
Shadow the Vampire.
That's it.
Yeah.
Michael, you're number 1.
I've taken these out of order, but I'd like to mention The Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's an iconic makeup.
It
And
is.
I like that she reflected the period the film was actually made in. She looks like an Art Deco kind of sight, with her little lips and her hair that's pulled back. Her red hair, by the way.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Probably
Actually,
all
didn't
know that.
Red hair.
I didn't know that actually.
Black.
Oh.
Yeah, it's always portrayed as being black, but her hair was actually red. And if you look at black and white photos, you could tell that it's not black hair. You could tell, you could see the highlights. I think her hair was like naturally auburn, and it was a wig that they matched her hair color to, basically. But yeah, that's.
I think it was actually her real hair, and they made a cage. They made a cage and used her real hair.
But at the Museum of the Moving Image, they had the wig there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
strange.
and if you look closely at photographs, you'll see lace along the temples. And I wasn't sure if it was just lace temples, but at the Museum of the Modern Image in Queens, years ago when they had it there, they had the wig there.
How weird. I've always heard that they made it, because you can see the cage around it. You can see that there's like
Right, yeah.
there's a thing, but that's so strange, huh?
So it may have been both. I mean, maybe for
Maybe so.
some shots, those days.
I can't imagine. I mean, it must have been very difficult to make the hair stand a real person's hair stand up like that though.
I have to say, the more you look at old movies, the more you see how many people and men were wearing wigs and hair pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even in just straight roles and stuff, you could see that they're wearing wigs and hair pieces a
Yeah.
lot. So it didn't surprise me too much that it was a wig. But that's a favorite.
You can
It's
tell in the
beautiful
beginning,
makeup.
when
Oh,
she's
yeah.
Mary Shelley in the beginning, you can see she's wearing a wig too.
Yes,
You
yeah.
see the lace, as Mary Shelley.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Number one for Eryn and Michael.
We picked Altered States.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, all of ours were kind of like out of order, but
That's
but Altered States was another one of those. Dick Smith, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's a movie I don't think it's talked about a lot. I
Yeah.
remember when I was
It's
younger,
really
it was talked
scary,
about.
too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it seems kind of forgotten.
It's very, with all the bladders and then the Cro-Magnon makeup and everything. It's just all the hair work, and it's beautiful. It's really seamless and well done. And of course, Dick Smith is just
Dick Smith.
Dick Smith. Yeah, and it's just, but all the bladders are just so cool and scary.
Mm.
At the lab at NBC, I have one of the big altered heads.
Oh, really?
It's I think
Oh,
the one
wow.
he's on his lap in Cinefantastique. That's still I have that in the lab there. It's
Oh
been
my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
So much in that lab to take in when you go through there. When
Yeah.
you give us our tour.
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff.
It's amazing. It's still one of my favorite things I've ever done. Is go to your see you guys working and seeing the lab and everything.
It's a fun place.
And I got to come visit you guys.
Like Dick Smith created that, and some of his stuff is still like one or two of his molds are still there, which is
Amazing. It's so cool.
oh yeah.
Ray, your number one.
My number all-time favorite makeup is Boris Karloff's Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein.
Mhm.
I was always amazed at how well this makeup was done. It was done by hand. It was built up every day by Jack Pierce. Look at that. See, competing for. And it's when you look. Every time I look at that movie, just all the close-ups they did on him, and it was all done by hand. There was no prosthetics then. He didn't wear a headpiece. I think he did in the later films, but that brow and the head, was all built up every day by Jack Pierce. And even in that, when he met the little girl at the lake in the bright sunlight, the close up they did on him, and it's almost like you can't. It's flawless, And the test makeup. I don't know if you were familiar with the test makeup that was done. There's only one black and white still of it, and it looks like this one. It's got like these little horns. And I saw this book when I was a kid. And this is what got me hooked on Frankenstein. When I saw this, I didn't know anything about Boris Karloff or anything like that. But this is Mary Shelley's book. And then I found out later on that it was Boris Karloff, but this was the test makeup that that this painting was from. So that's my best my favorite, my favorite all-time makeup was Boris Karloff as Frankenstein. Of course, his performance and everything was a very sympathetic character. He did it all basically pantomime. And, even later in the later films, like a lot of people think The Bride of Frankenstein is better, but I think the original is the best, for the portrayal of the monster and the look of the monster. Because he didn't really have a flat head. It wasn't that flat. As the movies went on, it just got flatter and flatter and more almost caricaturish. I think the original was the best. And as
I love it too.
For its time and for the, what Jack Pierce used at the time to make that character, to me was amazing.
It's up there for my just favorite movie, horror movie or not. So.
Definitely.
Louie, you're number one. I think you mentioned it a minute
I think
ago.
I mentioned it was American Werewolf. There's just so many great makeups in that, and just pretty awesome.
Craig, you're number one.
The Merrin character from The Exorcist. For the same reason that Ray liked it. I did not know that was a makeup. I thought he was that aged and that old, and when found out he was that, I was once more, a makeup became part of the character. It wasn't a makeup. Yeah. And when you think about it, if you think about the Frankenstein monster and the werewolf, and those are makeups. We all kind of recognize those as makeups. But if you mention the Father Merrin character as a makeup, I don't think anyone really will mention it as a makeup. They'll probably say the same thing. They thought he was that old when he did it. I think somewhere, I'm not sure where I might have it, but when Dick Smith was in Japan, he had the step-by-step in pictures and a diagram of how he aged him, picture-wise, where his fingers were, and he had it on display on a board. I don't know if I could find it, but I remember that. Man, it was awesome. But that's my number one, Father Merrin from The Exorcist.
Excellent. And Troy, you're number one.
Got the Frankenstein monster. He's the Mac Daddy. It's just where it's at. I mean, I loved his look in all of them, like up until Son of Frankenstein, but still, the first one's my personal favorite.
I agree. All right. Well, this has been really fun. I want to thank everyone for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to play.
Yeah.
Good to see you all. Good to meet you guys.
Yeah,
Nice to meet everybody.
Great meeting you
It was
guys.
nice meeting everyone.
Great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank
It'll be
you.
cool to have any of you guys
Yeah,
back.
great show.
Yeah,
for a different
anytime you
show.
guys want to come back,
Thank
you have
you.
an open invite.
Great.
Yay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Be
everybody.
safe.
Oh,
Be safe,
we
everybody.
do have to do something real quick. You guys can leave if you want, but I have to give out for people who were sharing the show, we're giving out a copy of Evil Boy
Ooh.
on DVD. And so every week, this helps spread the head and share the show. And I'm going to keep a track of everyone. And I've got all the names here in this box. I'm going to pull a name out here live. So there's no
No
chicanery
wheel
here.
tonight, huh?
No. Who is this? Peggy Small has one.
Yay, Peggy
Oh,
Small.
Yes. I ripped these up
DVD is
before the
coming to
show.
you.
As you can tell, they're not ripped up very well, but and I'm written down on a piece of paper. So anyway, Peggy Small, you won yourself Evil Boy. All right, and I'll send that out.
Nice.
All right.
Any
Now,
good-
thanks everybody.
Any good special effects in it? Any good makeup?
Yeah, it's a really
in
cool
the
movie.
All right, good.
Hey, Ray, who
Yeah.
did those sculptures that you were showing?
I did.
There you go.
Ooh, they're really cool.
Thank
Oh,
you.
really? They're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you
Super
very much.
cool.
All
I've
right.
been
Well,
keeping
take care,
myself-
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Thanks for
All right,
watching.
good night, everybody.
Everybody stay safe.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, Neil.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Neil.
Good night, Neil.
Good night,
Thanks
Good night,
for
Troy. Good night,
all the
Eryn,
Michaels.
Bye,
Michael,
everybody.
Ray.
Night,
Thank
John
you.
Boy.